There is no terrible way to win. There is only winning.
Let me drive. I will make a fool out of you.
Every one of us has to find a reason to do this. You do it because you're driven.
I was beginning to think I'd never be anything more than a piston-happy, lead-foot punk. Then this starts to happen.
Somebody put it in your mind you gotta be perfect every time out or you're a failure. Well, forget that. Just forget it.
You ready to put away your toys and grow up? Are you ready to make more money in 1 year than your father made in his whole life? Are you ready to become a real race car driver?
When I won it was probably the last time I ever felt pure victory.
Because I'm quicker than all of you.
And if you no longer go for a gap that exists, you're no longer a racing driver.
But hell, isn't that what we're in this for? To stare death in the face and to cheat it? Come on, there's nobility in that. It's like being knights.
No pressure, nobody breathing down my back, just driving because I left it pure.
A lot of people go through life doing things badly. Racing's important to men who do it well. When you're racing, it's life. Anything that happens before or after, it's just waiting.
I just hope when you do, that I'm there to see it.
Racing. That's the name of the game, isn't it? Win or lose, put up or shut up.
Fine. Then let's race.
Hi, I'm Tom Ingram and you're listening to Downforce Radio.
Hi, I'm Jacques Villeneuve, you're listening to Downforce Radio.
Hi, I'm Bruno Senna, you're listening to Downforce Radio.
Hi, I'm Chris Hoy and you're listening to Downforce Radio.
Hi, I'm Landon Norris and you're listening to Downforce Radio.
Hello everybody, welcome one and all live to PF International. It's the first round of the 2019 Motorsport UK British Kart Championships for the IAME classes across the cadet, mini, junior and senior categories. Jake Sanson here, broadcasting live on Downforce Radio around the nation. It is going to be an absolutely fantastic battle for this first race weekend of the IAME categories in the 2019 Motorsport UK British Kart Championships. You can find all of the details for the series on the website britishkartchampionships.org and also on the Facebook page at British Kart Champs. You can find it there as well on Twitter as well. It's going to be a really exciting battle for the 2019 campaign. We are, as we said, live broadcasting on Downforce Radio. If you have not already subscribed, you can find it on Spreaker, which is a free application to your mobiles, tablets and smartphones, and you'll never miss any of the action from this year's championships live around the world, wherever you might be listening from. We say hello to all our regular listeners from wherever around the world you are listening from, whether you be in the Americas, the Asias, and across Europe and South Americas, also across to the African continent as well. We have so many people listening worldwide, and it's the British Karting Championships for 2019. What a spectacle we are going to get this weekend with the IAME Cadet racers about to get underway for their first heat of the 2019 season. It's been a very busy month for the circuit here at PF International, with the Trent Valley Kart Club's Winter Series giving us a bit of a taster and sneak preview for what we can expect to see in the British Championships this year. A lot of the competitors for this year's first round season opener have been testing those first 4 weekends. And it's been really exciting stuff. We've seen a lot of incredible battles from the drivers as they progress through to the championships continuing on. But it will be very difficult to decide who's going to emerge as the IAME Cadet champion. So far, over the first 4 weekends that PF International has run IAME Cadet this season in their Winter Series, it's been a two-way fight between Kian Nakamura-Berta and Sonny Smith. It was those two that fought for the title right to the death. And it could well be exactly the same story in the British Kart Championship. We'll have to see how things progress when they come out on circuit. So far, so good for the pair of them, though, because they are on the front row of the starting grid. Sonny Smith with the pole position and Kian Nakamura-Berta, the Japanese driver, with second place. It's going to be a truly international championship, this, with racers representing all 4 countries in the British Isles, across from Ireland and all over Europe as well, with drivers flocking here from France, Germany, Italy, Scandinavia, across from the Asia, part of the countries, Australia, they have come as well, and even as far as North America and South America as well. They are all here to come racing in the British Kart Championships, run by Motorsport UK. We're ready for the action, so let's crack on with our first starting grid of the 2019 season for IAME Cadets. Sonny Smith and Kian Nakamura-Berta on the front row of the grid from Harley Keeble and Maximus Hall. Vinnie Phillips and Ella Stevens will be together on row 3 from Brandon Carr and Finn McLaughlin. Alex O'Grady and Harry Jr. Burgoyne come next, with Lewis Werrell and Nathan Tye, then Will Knight and Cathal Clark from Mason Rudman and Joe Katsantonis, Ewan Downing and the Canadian Hadi Mamasi, Dan Sofranea and Sky Parker, and then Eden Spanswick, George Edgar, Jack Cunningham and Jack Mowat. So the drivers just dialing in the brakes and tyres, getting everything up to temperature. Very interesting start to the season, very much mirroring what we saw in the Winter Series at Trent Valley Kart Club. But for the national championships here at Motorsport UK, we're set to see an even tougher fight as a few of the other drivers who were testing elsewhere now come out of the woodwork, and it's going to be so close at the front end of the field. In this first heat, we'll see some really exciting battles from the drivers on the grid here. It is going to be pretty much a four-way fight in terms of the drivers representing different teams. Those teams in particular being Oliver Rowland Motorsport, Fusion Motorsport, the PMR driver program run by Paul Munn, and of course Strawberry Racing, who have only started their IAME Cadet program over the last 2 years. It's interesting to see what they can do at the top end. It's Sonny Smith on pole position. It's Kia Nakamura-Berta second. And then Keeble, Hall, Phillips, Stevens, Carr, McLaughlin, O'Grady and Harry Jr. Burgoyne in the top 10. Revs rise. We're getting ready for the action to kick start. And we're out and racing. Let's go into the first corner. It's going to be a cracking start from Kia Nakamura-Berta, who squeezes Sonny Smith to the first corner. But Smith will not be denied. And there's 3 of them that go straight over under the Litchfield Bridge across the grass. But they manage to continue without too much of an issue. The 19, unfortunately, Jack Cunningham left behind, needing to make some ground, but it's a 1-2 for the Oliver Rowland Motorsport squad as Harley Keeble seems to have edged his way into second position behind Sonny Smith, and that's a great start for Maximus Hall, up into third position already. Vinnie Phillips now making his bid for fourth place, helped out by his teammate Nakamura-Berta, who has slipped down to fifth position, down to the hairpin for the first time, and the eagerness and zealousness of the drivers really starting to come in as down the grass, Vinnie Phillips is squeezed by Brandon Carr. Nathan Tighe come up the inside. There goes the 72 moving through of Harry Jr. Burgoyne. He gets his teammate Nathan Tighe, the Fusion squabble. Nakamura-Berta in front of Phillips and Alex O'Grady making movements. And that's a bold start too for the 72. Harry Jr. Burgoyne having made progress through the field. Cathal Clark has come up the order as well in the PMR kart. So really good start in this first one. Relatively bumping and boring throughout, but relatively clean. But the number 8 of Brandon Carr has been given a warning flag, no doubt for his antics on the first lap with Vinnie Phillips down the first straight. And it's Sonny Smith battling away with the number 9 of Harley Keeble. Those two have got well clear, and I don't think you're going to get to see them lower than first and second in this first heat. Brandon Carr third from Hall, Burgoyne, Nakamura-Berta, Phillips, O'Grady, Clark, McLaughlin, Stevens, Rudman and Will Knight. Then it's Hadi Mamasi, Werrell, Ewan Downing, Dan Sofranea, then Sky Parker from Eden Spanswick, Joe Katzentonis, Nathan Tighe really struggling on the first lap, then George Edgar, and it is Jack Mowat and Jack Cunningham. So the drivers go down the back straight into the next hairpin, running fairly rapidly as they come through onto the second lap. Sonny Smith and Harley Keeble well clear as they have pulled a massive gap over their fellow Oliver Rowland drivers, Brandon Carr and Harry Jr. Burgoyne, who's popped up into fourth place. Then it's Kia Nakamura-Berta from Vinnie Phillips. So what has happened to Maximus Hall? He has tumbled down to 7th place, unfortunately. He's going to try and make his way further forward through the field, but he's got some assistance, potentially, from Alex O'Grady, I think that is. No, my apologies. That is the fast-charging Finn McLaughlin, who has spent most of his young career battling with Alex O'Grady, Irish cadet champion. The two of them have come across to the British Series and are already instantly fast out of the blocks. Down the main straight. No problems for Sonny Smith ahead of Harley Keeble. These two have already managed to get a decent gap over the rest. And then it is Harry Jr. Burgoyne and Brandon Carr essentially working together to get the gap down. Kia Nakamura-Berta working with Vinnie Phillips. It's a nightmare scenario for anybody who isn't in the Oliver Rowland Motorsport awning. So they are absolutely relentless to try and close down the gap. But out of the square right and down the back straight, it is Sonny Smith who leads the way convincingly. He will want a little bit of rejuvenation and, from his point of view, a little bit of justice after he battled for both titles in the Winter Series here and ended up coming out. He was not the champion in either of them in the end, so he'll want a little bit of recompense in the British Championships if he can get there. So he will battle his way down the straight in front of Harley Keeble. Then it is the 72 of Harry Jr. Burgoyne. Kia Nakamura-Berta from Vinnie Phillips. And now, side by side, that's Maximus Hall battling with Finn McLaughlin. And Maximus Hall makes the move. The Gladiator strikes again. And Finn McLaughlin has to take second best in that particular move. So they come off for the far side, through to Bobby Game Corner, and then sweeping round through Mike Wilson Complex. Top 4 still well clear. The fusion pair of Kia Nakamura-Berta and Vinnie Phillips trying desperately to catch up with the top 4. But they're going to run out of time, I fear, with these 4 having gapped well ahead of the rest of the field. Up to 7th place, though. Good run from Alex O'Grady. The Irishman has charged his way forward and now leads the rest of the train in pursuit. And Alex O'Grady has got Maximus Hall behind him. Then it's Finn McLaughlin. Ella Stevens running well in 10th position. She's really made some massive progress. Then Cathal Clark, Will Knight, Mason Rudman, Hadi Mamasi, Lewis Werrell, Ewan Downing, Eden Spanswick and Nathan Tighe. From Sofranea, Katzentonis, Parker, Cunningham, Mowat and Edgar. So I'm not sure what's happened to George Edgar, but it looks as though he's had an incident and fallen to the back of the grid as Ella Stevens is about to lose the place to 3 of them all in one go. That is the 22 of Cahill Clark heading through with Knight, Finn McLaughlin and Ella Stevens all in unison, and that's a big move from Hadi Mamassi, and he loses it. Hadi Mamassi charged down the inside of Mason Rudman, just lost the back end under braking, and unfortunately the Canadian now has to rejoin, tucked in behind Sky Parker. So a big moment for Hadi Mamassi. Sadly, it all comes to naught, but he can fight his way back, and he's very good at getting back on the horse quickly. So they come through the final turn and down the main straight. Sonny Smith still leads the way comfortably here from Harley Keeble as they come through with a massive lead after the antics of the first lap of the race. But Junior Burgoyne and Carr are closing up. Nakamura Berta and Phillips, then O'Grady, Maximus Hall, then Cahill Clark, Finn McLaughlin and Ella Stevens, who has got back past Will Knight. Then Werrell, Rudman, Downing, Ty, Spanswick, Katsantonis and Sofronea in front of Sky Parker now in 20th. Then Mamassi, Cunningham, Mowat and George Edgar. Down the back straight, I have a feeling Vinnie Phillips is getting a little bit impatient. He has now managed to move past his teammate here, Nakamura Berta, to move up into 5th position. Looks as though they're going to change tack for a while and let the other lead one. As up the inside, that's Mason Rudman making the move on the inside line of Lewis Werrell. And Ewan Downing tries to slot in on the inside as well. But Lewis Werrell loses ground to Nathan Ty, who's making a rapid comeback after his first lap misdemeanors. And he is charging back through the pack. So that's Nathan Ty through into 14th position by my math. And he's already making the move on Mason Rudman into the S's and goes through and is joined by his teammate Lewis Werrell. That was nicely handled by Nathan Ty. Made the gap open up, left room for his teammate to join in force, and now they're both through on Mason Rudman. Down the main straight once again. Time that left is 2 minutes 3, plus the additional lap, of course. But these two look unchallenged. Smith versus Keeble, Harry Junior Burgoyne and Brandon Carr. Vinnie Phillips sets a new fastest lap, a 1:09.56. That's 7/10 of a second faster than Sonny Smith. So they are gaining the ground, but will they gain enough to challenge the 4 up front for the victory? They've got to work in unison to make it happen. But Sonny Smith leads from Keeble, Burgoyne, Carr, Phillips, Nakamura Berta, O'Grady, Hall, McLaughlin, Clark and Ella Stevens, with Will Knight in 12th and Nathan Ty up to 13th now after his move with Lewis Werrell on Mason Rudman. Looks like Brandon Carr may go for the move on his own teammate as into the hairpin. He does indeed. So Brandon Carr up into 3rd position, swaps with his teammate Harry Junior Burgoyne, obviously thinking they can close up on their 2 teammates up front. But in 7th place, it is still the Irishman, Alex O'Grady, running very well indeed as he battles with Maximus Hall, the Gladiator. The 2 of them, again, trying to work the ground to close up on the guys in front. It's 2 by 2 hurrah here at the moment because we've got Smith and Keeble out front, then Burgoyne and Carr, then a few seconds back, Phillips and Nakamura Berta, then a little few way back, it's O'Grady and Hall. So it is very much like Noah's Ark at the front end of the field. Harley Keeble, right in behind Sonny Smith. Then Burgoyne behind Carr, and Phillips behind Nakamura Berta behind Phillips, sorry. And still Maximus Hall edging with Alex O'Grady as they try and charge forward. Finn McLaughlin and Cahill Clark are threatening to do the same, with Ella Stevens and Will Knight forming in behind. It's several pairs of pairs at the moment. The hand of cards that seems to favour all of the IAME cadets at the moment is a pair. So through the first part of the lap and into the second sector, still Sonny Smith from Harley Keeble. Is there going to be a change? Not yet. Keeble realises that they are catching further back, and they're about to go into their final lap, of course. This is the penultimate tour for the IAME cadets. They're going to run out of time before they cross the line again. Through the S's, up on the far side of the circuit, back on the power, and down to Bobby Game Corner. Sweeping through the right-hander. No problem at all for the 2 leaders, as we seem to have a bit of an issue further back. That looks to me like a problem for the 19. Unfortunately, Jack Cunningham's got some kind of issue and has fallen now behind Mowat and George Edgar. Didn't see what the problem was, but it looks as though it's continuing to develop. So a slight problem there for Cunningham. Last lap, here we go. And out in front, no problem at all for Smith and Keeble. They will battle for the victory in the first race of the day. Keeble still sat behind Sonny Smith. Once they get to this final lap, it's every man for himself. There are teammates, but there are certainly no team orders, so they can race for the victory. They all want to get to the top spot. So Keeble is going to battle for Sonny Smith. Down the back straight. He edges away from his 2 teammates behind them for the moment. Sonny Smith just holding the line at the present moment as he comes back off the turn. Down the short stretch towards the second hairpin. Is Keeble going to make the move? Not yet. Clearly they want strength in numbers through the course of the first part of the race as Sonny Smith and Harley Keeble run together. Keeble's got a better run than Smith off of the hairpin as they go through the S's. No major drama as Kiya Nakamura-Berta squeezes his teammate Vinnie Phillips and gets through. The Japanese star, absolutely no love lost between the teammates there as he charges his way through on the inside, grabs 5th position in the S's. But it's going to be a run to the flag as Oliver Rowland Motorsport Squadron runs 1, 2, 3, and 4. They come through to the final dais. Over the line, the checkered flag flies, and it's a perfect victory for Sonny Smith to start the weekend in front of Keeble. Delighted the pair of them are. 3rd for Carr, 4th for Burgoyne, and Nakamura-Berta pips Phillips to the post in 5th and 6th, with Alex O'Grady, Maximus Hall, Finn McLaughlin, and Cathal Clark in the top 10, with Will Knight managing to cross the line in front of Ella Stevens, and Nathan Tye in front of Lewis Werrell. There were 7 pairs of drivers across the line in the top 14 as they spread themselves out. 15th for Eden Spanswick in front of Rudman, Katzentonis and Ewan Downing. Hadi Mamasi in 19th ahead of Sky Parker and Dan Sofranea. And then it's Jack Cunningham from Jack Mowat and George Edgar. A fabulous start for the IAME cadets then. A really positive race and really good action from the drivers as they battled away all the way to the finish line there. Really good racing and a fantastic start to the action then from the Motorsport UK British Kart Championships at IAME. A clean race, lots of good action, great battles, no major catastrophes, and a positive start to the season for Oliver Rowland Motorsport. They are 1, 2, 3, and 4 in the first heat of the season. Fusion Motorsport did that to them a week ago in the Winter Series. So far, so good in terms of the retaliation. But a really good resurgence then from ORM and their drivers. But a fantastic win for Sonny Smith. Really took the bull by the horns in the early stages. Great charge through the field from Harry Junior Burgoyne, though. He's the hard charger, making up 6 places. Although also doing so further back was Eden Spanswick, who came up from 21st on the grid to 15th. Good work there to be 15th position at the end of the dais for BKC Racing. Some really good performances through the field there, particularly Cathal Clark, who came up to the top 10 from the PMR driver program, managing to gain time and tagging onto the back of the likes of Finn McLaughlin, Alex O'Grady and Maximus Hall in their battle for the top 10. So some really good performances and some really good work and a really good effort. Fantastic performances there. And we'll see what happens over the course of the rest of the day. That's the first IAME cadet race out of the way. There'll be another one later for the second heat. And then, of course, we have more action on the way from Junior X30. They are the next class out on track, by the way. We'll see some cracking action from them as the racing develops. There's going to be plenty of brilliant action over the course of this first race meeting of the season. Of course, 20 races in total in the particular categories. But there's obviously going to be plenty of great races to come. After the Junior X30 qualifying session we saw a little earlier on, we're going to see a very close first race as the drivers are preparing for action. And to talk you through the grid, we'll take just a little moment and we'll basically be getting ourselves up for the action once again. But again, so close in Junior X30 over the course of qualifying. Joe Taylor managing to get the time by 0.2 of a second to Charlie Cole of the Jade Racing team. This is the overall qualification I'm talking about here, not necessarily the grid for this next race. Freddie Spindler, a whisker in front of Sam Shaw, Josh Rowledge and Archie Walker from Alex Lee, Caden McQueen, Georgie Dimitrov and Mikai Singh. The gap between them all, a whisker over half a second. Very close battles, really intense battling all through the day, guaranteed. But Joe Taylor for the Coles Racing squad from pole position. He is definitely a dark horse to win this first round. He loves the feel of this PFI circuit. He knows it very well. He's done a lot of the club disciplines here as well as the national championship rounds over the last couple of seasons across different categories, not just in Junior X30. He was a strong cadet, if you remember, if you were following the sport the last couple of seasons. So Joe Taylor is definitely a fan favourite and will be going from pole position after getting all ultimate qualifying pole position with a time of 58.58 from qualifying. So he will be a strong charger. The green flag flies at the top of the gantry. The drivers are released, and it's time to talk you through the starting grid for this first Junior X30. Race 2 of the day, Heat 1 for Junior X30. Joseph Taylor and Freddie Spindler on the front row of the grid, with Josh Rowledge alongside Alex Lay. Georgie Dimitrov and Douglas Bolger are on row 3 from Reggie Dewey and Oliver Gray. And then rounding up the top 10, it's Wilgard Edqvist of Sweden and Blake Anglis. 16 yesterday. Tom Edgar and Tyler Reed on the 6th row of the grid from Oliver Behrman and Zach Meakin, then Dylan Hodgkin and Max Meir, Will Murdoch and JP Slee to the Irishman, Marcus Littlewood and the Polish driver Kasper Skuza from Sam Hawthorne and the Dutchman Chris Harnan, then Daryl Taylor, Alex Moody and at the back of the field Oscar Joyce. not only have we got Britain's best, but we've also got a fair collection of Europe's best as well. And even from further afield, Douglas Bolger, the Japanese driver, in the top 6. And, of course, some of the stars from the European Series a couple of weeks ago. Wilgert Edfist, who got the ultimate pole position at Marienborg. And also, while he was out there, some good runs from Chris Hahn, the Dutchman, ran in the top 10 in Europe. Has accepted the challenge to come to Britain for the first time to compete for the British Championships. And it will be really exciting to see what these international drivers make of this first weekend in the British Championship season. But it's absolutely fantastic. Already the draw and the talent and the caliber of the racing, it seems to be very high as we get ourselves ready for the battle once more. Out of the final turn and ready onto the home straight. This will be a busy race. Taylor and Spindlow, Rowledge and Lee, Dimitrov and Bolger, Dewey and Gray, Edfist and Anglis, and we're racing. Cracking getaway off the line as down to the first corner. Taylor gets a perfect start, and so too does Josh Rowledge. Oh, a spin and into the barriers. That's one of the... I couldn't quite see who that was, got squeezed out there. It's a Kato Motorsport suit. I can only assume that's Alex Moody, who's ended up being squeezed on the run to the first corner. And unfortunately, he is into the barriers. Looks as though the race has continued on regardless. He's not going to be able, I think, to get going again. I think there's too much damage to Alex Moody's kart, although he's desperately trying to get the rear bumper sorted out so that he can get back into the race. And he has appeared to have done so. Yes, he's back racing again. Out in front, it's Josh Rowledge trying to squeeze out Joe Taylor to go round the outside of the S's. He's not been able to make that move, so he sticks back into second place with Freddie Spindlow there in third, charging up to fourth place. So it looks like Douglas Bolger's made another cracking start. So as they come through on the far side of the circuit, it's going to be a really interesting run from here on in as the leading no, that's one of the RS karts. That's got to be Reggie Dewey charging his way through because his teammate Jacob McComb is in the later heat. So Reggie Dewey having charged his way through onto fourth position. Joe Taylor steals back the lead from Josh Rowledge. He initially grabbed it back in the Mike Wilson complex. And now Spindlow having a look at Rowledge as they go up the hill. It's Taylor, Rowledge, Spindlow. No, it's Dewey. Dewey through to third position as they go over the bridge. So Reggie Dewey up into P3 to make that 2nd position. He's got squeezed on the inside there of Josh Rowledge and he manages to get into 2nd position. 2 places made in one go, and that's a big lunge from one of the Fusions into 4th place past Spindlow. That is the 23. A brilliant run from Georgi Dimitrov. Dimitrov squeezes from 6th up to 4th, and through with him went Alex Lee of the Coles Racing Team. Spindlow's dropped down to 6th, and he's now trying to hold off the attentions of Tom Edgar. Brilliant racing. No, my apologies. That is one of the... No, I think that is Tom Edgar. But yes, it was. Wilgert Edfist right up there in the sharp end. Oliver Gray and Oliver Behrman towards the top 10 from Reed, Murdoch, Meir, Harnan, Sleater, Darrell Taylor, Blake Anglis, Sam Hawthorne, Marcus Littlewood and Casper Scusa. Douglas Bolger, meanwhile, had a horrific start. Dropped all the way down to 22nd in the original lap. Has now got to try and fight his way forward. So some early misdemeanors and a few problems for several of them, and it's Dylan Hodgkin out of the race. My apologies, not Alex Moody. It was Dylan Hodgkin who went into the barriers at turn 1, the sister kart of Kato Motorsport squad. Dewey leads the way, Rowledge 2nd. Here comes Taylor up the inside of Rowledge for 2nd place. Reggie Dewey, having stolen the lead, now has a big moment. I didn't see where Dewey got through. He must have done that towards the tail end of the lap. But Reggie Dewey now charging to the lead. Taylor 2nd, 3rd Dimitrov now in front of Rowledge from Alex Lee, and in 6th place that's the 52 of Tom Edgar. Then Spindlow, Gray, Edfist, Behrman, Murdoch, Reed, Harnan, Meir and Darrell Taylor. But what a first couple of laps it's been from Reggie Dewey to go from what was originally 7th place on the grid, charges through to 4th at the end of lap 1, at the end of lap 2 he's leading, and now as he completes lap 3, look at the lead already on Joe Taylor. It's half a second nearly. Dimitrov 3rd, Rowledge 4th from Lee, Edgar, Gray, Spindlow, Behrman, Edfist, Reed and Harnan. Some good battles through the field. Up 6 places then is your leader, Reggie Dewey. Chris Harnan's made massive progress, though. The Dutchman is up 10. Darrell Taylor is up 8, up to 15th. So some massive progress from a handful of the drivers in the field. Alex Moody running well up to 18th as well. As up the inside, that's a big move on Tom Edgar. And that is the pass from Oliver Gray. He's made up a couple of places now. And Oliver Gray into 6th position as he tries to shut the door on Tom Edgar. Next up is Freddie Spindlow. Then it's his teammate, the 87 of Oliver Behrman. So they squabble away in the mid-pit, in the mid-pack. And up the inside, just further back. Oh, that was a bold move that didn't quite work for Casper Scusa as he dives up the inside of Zach Meakin. And Zach holds him at bay. Nicely defended there from Zach as they come through the chicane once again and down onto the main straight. Now, Dewey's not going to dominate this without a shadow of a doubt. Joe Taylor's going to get the run through to the first chicane. Flat on the throttle under the Litchfield Bridge. And they storm round the left. Dewey, Taylor and Dimitrov. Rowledge trying to stay with them in fourth. Fifth place, Alex Lee. And then it's Gray, Edgar, Spindlow, Behrman and Edqvist. We'll get Edqvist, the Swede, having a great run. As up the inside goes Chris Harnan over the bridge. Harnan looked like he was trying to make a good move there on Max Meir. And they battle away for position. Meanwhile, down the back straight, trying to tuck in on the inside line. That is, I believe, one of, who's that that's made the move? The 28 has come up. That is Daryl Taylor for Cutting Edge. He's made a lovely, bold move, but then gets it repeated straight back again from the 51, Sam Hawthorne. Hawthorne makes the lunge. JP Sleater trying to make up progress as well. So great battles at the front and at the midfield. It looks as though there's been an issue there, though, as the number 12, Marcus Littlewood, has a little bit of a moment with Casper Scusa, and they have dropped down to the back of the field. But over the line, leading the way, it's Reggie Dewey in front of Taylor, Dimitrov, Rowledge and Lee. And these five have broken clear. So it's AP Racing from Coles, Fusion, Strawberry and Coles in the top five as far as the teams are concerned. And this is going to be the move from Rowledge up the inside to go to third position. Big lunge on Dimitrov and he gets through and tries to repeat the move behind. That's Alex Lee trying to squeeze up the inside of Dimitrov on the back straight. Surely he's going to get that move stopped into the hairpin. He does indeed. Nails the inside line, and now Oliver Gray for Dan Holland Racing joins the party in sixth place. Next up the road is Oliver Behrman, and then the Northern Irishman Tom Edgar with Freddie Spindlow in tow, and then it is Tyler Reid and Will Murdoch. So the battle is reawakening at the front end of the field as Chris Harnan works with his teammate there, Max Meir. They're battling together behind the Swede Wilgard Edqvist of Strawberry Racing. Terrific racing up towards the Mike Wilson complex, through the left flowing hairpin, then into the final chicane, up on the curbs, down on the dirt as they come through the final corner, desperately trying not to use too much of the runoff. Joe Taylor has dropped Josh Rowledge to a certain degree and is now working with Reggie Dewey to get away. Warning flag for Georgi Dimitrov. Not sure what he's done, but Oliver Gray has got through and taken the place away from him for fifth position. So that might have something to do with it. And a very late lunge up the inside of Dimitrov from Oliver Behrman, who charges through and gets into sixth place at turn 4. And now it's going to be Tom Edgar working with his teammate Georgi Dimitrov to get further up the order. A big twitch from Dimitrov as he tries to hold him at bay. Meanwhile, there's a big run from Tyler Reid as he's got Will Murdoch up the back, and Tom Edgar makes the move on his teammate Dimitrov and gets the place. Nicely handled, and it's a lead change as Joe Taylor makes the move in the S's on Reggie Dewey, and Josh Rowledge is going to be right there in third position. What a battle for the lead this is now. Joe Taylor, Reggie Dewey and Josh Rowledge as they squabble for the victory with a minute to go. They're going to get 2 laps left on the clock. And this is going to be an absolute riot for the victory between these three. Josh Rowledge trying to slot in behind Reggie Dewey. Taylor cuts across and moves in the chicane in order to hold it. We've got stationary yellows up at turn 3. We've lost somebody from the fray. I think that's got to be Marcus Littlewood. Marcus Littlewood must have pulled off on that part of the circuit. He's not come through again. So I think Marcus Littlewood is out of the race up at the top end of the course. That's a real shame. He was having some difficulties anyway. As up the inside, Reggie Dewey cuts on the inside of Joe Taylor. Joe Taylor now gets him on the undercut for the next hairpin. Josh Rowledge trying to edge through on the inside. Runs deep, Joe Taylor, and Rowledge gets the lead. Never mind second place. Reggie Dewey trying to squeeze up the inside of Joe Taylor. Gets into second place. Cracking racing. Down the back straight. Up towards Bobby Game Corner. They go through the right. And a very late lunge from Joe Taylor to get on Reggie Dewey. But Dewey holds it round the outside. Sweeping round to the hairpin again. And now they come back for the Mike Wilson complex through the left. Squeezing into the left-hander, flick it out through the right and down the main straight. Last lap to go. This is like a final, never mind the first heat. And away they go into the chicane, sweeping on the curbs, left, right, hold it under the Litchfield Bridge and chuck the card into the left. Massive defence from Josh Rowledge. Under investigation is the 18 of JP Sleater. Not sure what for. Dewey makes the lunge on the inside over the Litchfield Bridge. Tries to squeeze it round the outside. Not if you're Josh Rowledge. Oliver Gray now tucks onto the back of them. It's a 4-way fight and it could be 5 if Behrman gets a run. Taylor sweeps right round the outside. Gets Reggie Dewey, gets squeezed, holds it on the curb and gets into second place. Behrman now dives for 4th on the inside and gets into second place as he squeezes on the inside of Taylor and Dewey. He'll get assistance from Gray to finish the move. What a lunge from Behrman. Dewey tries to squeeze him. They bang wheels and Gray gets past them all. Gray into second position. Amazing racing. And they're not done yet. It looks like the victory's going to be cleaned up by Rowledge. Gray gets through for second. This cart's coming together. Behrman's gone wide. Dewey's had contact. 3 or 4 of them all off and stopped together in the Mike Wilson complex. It's a win for Rowledge. Gray second, and third is Taylor in front of Lee and Tyler Reid. Dewey, Spindlow, Mir and Hawthorne all involved, and off the circuit of the final corners. Reggie Dewey and Freddie Spindlow are at the scene of the accident in the final corners. Hawthorne has recovered. Max Mir looks like he will do so as well. Well, Spindlow has first. Oh, disaster for Reggie Dewey as he and Freddie Spindlow get caught up in the melee. That had all the makings of a final, and that was only Heat 1. But Josh Rowledge wins it. And a very frustrated Max Mir crosses the line, carrying his Nassau plate. Dear, oh dear. What a shocking first race for the IAME Junior X30s. But it's a win for Josh Rowledge in front of Oliver Gray, Joe Taylor, Alex Lee and Tyler Reid as they cross the line. Whether or not that's going to be continuous discussions later, I do not know. But clearly the tempo is very high here this weekend for Junior X30. They all want to win. They all want to do so. We're fresh out of the blocks with a victory. And there's massive, massive damage to Max Mir. He's not carrying the Nassau. It's just vertical in the air off the bracket. And he's having a real job trying to drive the thing home. But, well, there's definitely going to be a discussion or two about that one, as at least 4 or 5 of them came together in the final chicane with a lot of drivers dropping progress. But it's Rowledge who wins from Gray, Taylor and Lee. Reid is in 5th from Edgar. Then Behrman in a very disappointed 7th place when he could have had the win. Dimitrov is 8th. Murdoch is 9th. Chris Harnan, brilliant job up into 10th place. Bolger recovering to 11th from Zach Meakin, Wilgard Edqvist and Darrell Taylor. Then the birthday boy Blake Anglis from JP Sleater, Oscar Joyce and Alex Moody. Then Casper Scusa and the drivers who had that incident. Sam Hawthorne from Freddie Spindlow, Reggie Dewey and Max Mir. Retirements from Marcus Littlewood, and on lap 1, Dylan Hotchin. But a very dramatic race, and I have a feeling that that's going to be where the tempo is like for most of the weekend. Everybody wants to get that victory in the bag, and in Junior X30, it is relentlessly competitive. This is going to be absolutely astonishing. So what on earth are we going to see from their second heat, which is next up, in fact? We saw some very competitive dicing for manoeuvres. I think we'll see even more as the racing continues. But, gosh, Junior X30 has really given us a show. Not very much for Marcus Littlewood, though, rather sadly. Unfortunately, it seems as though his day's action has come rather to naught. Certainly for the first race. I think his is more mechanical in nature rather than incidents out on the circuit, though. So very frustrated and very upset Marcus Littlewood, no doubt. For the Spirit of Senna. It's difficult not to show bias to one particular colour scheme, but I tell you what, the Spirit of Senna colours do look absolutely sensational. If you get a chance to follow them on social media, just check out the colour scheme of their kart. I think Ayrton himself would be very proud looking down on their colour scheme. But Marcus Littlewood's first race comes to a very frustrating end, unfortunately. So there's not a lot really he can do about that. So a battle for the first Junior X30 heat of the 2019 championship. That one is going to be remembered by quite a few people when they talk about that one. So now it is going to be a second heat for Junior X30. Over the course of the next 30 seconds, they will be sent out onto the circuit again. Fastest laps in that race, Will Murdoch. He got a 58.71 out of the kart before crossing the line in 9th place. But the way that race finished, pretty much anybody could have got the victory at the end of it. And fair play to Oliver Gray, who charged back from 8th on the grid to finish in 2nd place of that heat. Joe Taylor will be frustrated as the victory was very much on from the first lap as far as he was concerned. So some drivers have got very frustrating races to talk about as they continue on into the second heat for them a little later on. But hopefully we'll be seeing all of them out there for more great battles later on in the day. So the second Junior X30 heat is about to progress and kick off, and it's going to be Charlie Cole and Sam Shaw who will lead that off on the front row of the grid. Watch for the man in 3rd on the starting grid, though. Archie Walker has been threatening to take his first win in a junior race for quite a long time now, for at least the last 4 months. And it's not going to be too long before he gets the chance to really show it. Here they come out onto the circuit, and it's time to get the green flags waved at the top of the gantry. When they are, it'll be time to send the drivers out on circuit for their second Junior X30 heat. Just a little bit of work is needed up at Mike Wilson Complex, of course, after the accident at the final corners of the race. They just need to put things back into position again. Fantastic work for the marshals all weekend. I actually joined them yesterday. Not many people will know, but did join them yesterday for various responsibilities, including the noise bay and relief points at various disciplines at various sections of the day yesterday. And I can tell you, it is a fantastic discipline of motorsport, and full credit to all of the marshals. They do an absolutely incredible job. No matter where we go around the British Isles, they are the reason we race. We cannot do this without them, and they are such an incredible band of people. Here we go, out onto the circuit with 8 minutes on the clock, plus the additional lap, and it's time for Junior X30 drivers to go racing once again for the second heat. Charlie Cole and Sam Shaw on the front of the grid from Archie Walker and Caden McQueen. Mikai Singh and Rashan Chigarimbo are on the third row of the grid from Dan Butterworth and Jamie Mead. Then the Jamaican Kalai Atkins and Oliver Duffel from Aaron Rescepi of Switzerland, and the Italian stallion Alessandro Serenetti. James Walker and Harry Cottrell from Aaron Walker and Tom Leben. Then Ivan Lomliev and Joshua McLean from Ben Jenkins and Sam Heading. Drew Davidson and Aaron J. Walker from Jacob McComb and Harvey Ryby. A very tough qualifying session for a lot of these guys. They really didn't get the track time they wanted based on how confusing the traffic jams were around the circuit. A lot of them out of position, so we'll see some good moves through the field, no doubt, as drivers want to charge their way through. Particularly the likes of Alessandro Serenetti didn't get the best of qualifying times. Aaron Walker way out of position, having looked fast initially. Tom Leben, Ivan Lomliev, Josh McLean, all out of position. They all want to come through the field pretty rapidly. Jacob McComb barely got a lap in at all in qualifying, and he goes off the back row. So expect him in the RS kart to charge through, as his teammate Reggie Dewey did to the sharp end. So there's a lot of great drivers in this field. They all want to be on their A game, and they want to come out of the blocks fighting for victory. They line up in the trams. Here we go. It's a false start straight away, so there are a couple of drivers out of position. They were in the tram lines, and it just didn't work out for them on that occasion, so they've got to go around one more time. And obviously, with the tension very high anyway, it's always going to be a bit of a tough discipline for the drivers as they get themselves ready for the drama and the action that awaits us around this PF International circuit. But there's always going to be some tough tests for all of the drivers, especially in Junior X30, when things are so ultra-competitive. And you look at this British Championship grid, and so many of these talents are not just big names here, but also further afield as well. Many of them taking part in the IAME Euro Series Championship, and are usually in the top 10 there as well. So it's multiple disciplines of drivers in Junior X30, multiple levels of experience, but they all seem to be very close and even together in terms of their qualifying pace. And obviously that means that in the race paces, they're obviously very evenly matched too. But they now come through to the Mike Wilson complex. Look at Charlie Cole. Pole position for the Jade Racing team with the Birol chassis. Sam Shaw for BKC Racing. Another strong performance from them. He's actually ahead of his teammate, Alessandro Serenetti, for a change. They're very close and even, those two, in terms of pace, but it's usually Serenetti just a hundredth or so of a second ahead of Sam Shaw. This time the tables are reversed. What can Shaw do from that front row of the grid? Along the main straight, are we going to get a better start? Now we do! Cracking start, and away goes the field. Archie Walker trying to slot into second place, and does so as he charges through to the first corner. Much cleaner start through the first chicane from the juniors this time in the second of their heats. But Archie Walker has come straight up into second place behind Charlie Cole, and is immediately getting on with it as they come through to the Litchfield Bridge. He wants the lead early as he goes down the back straight, and Archie Walker is already trying to fend for the lead as up to third position, trying to make the move, and now making it for second as he defends initially from McQueen and then makes enough space for both him and McQueen to go through. Is Sam Shaw on Archie Walker. So McQueen squeezes through into second place. Sam Shaw having drifted too wide. It's Cole leading. McQueen second. Then Shaw up the inside for fourth. That's never going to happen. Archie Walker tries to hold off and manages to on Rashan Chigarimbo. Chigarimbo had to put two wheels on the curbs there to avoid massive contact with Archie Walker, but Walker was not going to let him through, and he holds that fourth position slot with Chigarimbo now assisting him down the main straight. So Cole leads the way from McQueen, Shaw, Walker, Chigarimbo, and then in sixth place it is Mikai Singh doing a great job. Butterworth is next up, and then Jamie Mead, Lomliev, Serenetti, Duffel, Atkins, James and Aaron Walker from Josh McLean, Sam Heading, Tom Leben and Aaron J. Walker for Dan Holland Racing. Harry Cottrell, Davidson, Ryby, Rashemi, Macomb and Ben Jenkins. Here comes McQueen for the lead into the first hairpin in the mid-sector, and he has got through. Nicely done. So McQueen hits the front for the first time. Then it is Charlie Cole. Sam Shaw has a look. He's going to make a late lunge up the inside of Cole. Hesitant, but makes the move stick regardless. Into second place. Then it's Chigarimbo now in front of Archie Walker. Jamie Mead now in front of Butterworth, and that's Mikai Singh making a bold move on. Is that Serenetti? Serenetti charging his way through. He was up to 10th. He's now up into about 8th position. So Serenetti, great experience of this circuit over the Winter Series, of course, as the champion in Junior X30's Winter Series here at Trent Valley Kart Club's PF International Circuit, but now charging his way through as a British Championship contender. And he's there in 10. As up the inside, that's a bold move from Oliver Duffel. He gets the move on Mikai Singh as Aaron Walker slots in behind. From Kalai, Atkins, McLean, Aaron and James Walker, and then Tom Lemon, Sam Heading and Harry Cottrell. But Aaron J. Walker has got through on James Walker. Aaron Walker for Strawberry Racing is up to 12th place. That's not trying to be as confusing as possible, but there's a lot of Walkers in this field. Archie Walker up in 5th. Aaron Walker in 12th position. Aaron J. Walker 15th and James Walker in 16th. Are they related? No, none of them are. McQueen, Shaw and Cole is the order at the top three. Shaw having fought his way back on the inside of Charlie Cole to take that second place on the previous lap. Then Chigarimbo and Archie Walker. And in P6, that is Jamie Mead ahead of Lomliev and Butterworth from Serenetti and Mikai Singh. They come through the Mike Wilson complex, sweeping out of the left and down through the final chicane. Left on the curb, right flick of curb, back on the outside apex and down the main straight. It's a terrific battle between McQueen, Shaw and Charlie Cole. They run together in unison. Chigarimbo, Archie Walker and Lomliev now up into 6th position. The Cole's racing driver in 6th, running very well indeed, with Serenetti trying to force his way up into the top 6 and doing a great job of overtakes. That's another bold move from Aaron J. Walker on Kalai Atkins, I think that was, to get through and make up another position. And a bold move on the inside. It's going to be 3 abreast as they come through the course. Aaron Walker for Strawberry Racing makes his bid to get past first Butterworth and then Mead and completes the move on both of them. Meanwhile, Caden McQueen has hit the front in front of Cole and Shaw. So McQueen has got through, and so too has Charlie Cole on Shaw. Cole is going to have to defend now because Shaw's trying to come back at him into Bobby Game corner. They're going to be side by side, and Shaw will complete the move in the Mike Wilson complex. Nicely done, but that's given Caden McQueen an important lead and a big advantage as they come onto the main straight. He's got about half a second as they cross the line. Shaw is there in second place to Charlie Cole. Lomliev now up to 4th place in front of Walker, Chigarimbo and Serenetti. Serenetti makes the dive on the inside of Chigarimbo to move up into 6th position through that sweeping left-hand hairpin under the bridge and gets through. He's into P6. Cole goes a little bit too deep. That's going to give Lomliev a chance to attack him down the back straight. Ivan Lomliev works with Cole to get close to the shore, then bails out and goes up the inside line and makes the move for 3rd place. Good work from Lomliev. Up into 3rd place, now chasing after McQueen and Shaw. Serenetti on the inside of Walker gets the move. Nicely done. Chigarimbo squeezed in his attempts to get the undercut. They go through the S's, up the sharp side, towards Bobby Game, through the sweeping right. Good battles in the mid-pack as well. Several drivers impeded. Harry Cottrell's had a moment or two over the course of the race. Has fallen behind Jenkins. Ryby, Reshepi and Macomb have not made the progress they were hoping to. Reshepi no slouch. He was the pole position sitter at the Valencia Winter Cup back in February. Caden McQueen, Shaw, Lomliev, Cole, Serenetti, Archie Walker, Chigarimbo, Duffel, Walker. And there's a mechanical flag. It's for Aaron J. Walker. That's such a shame. Aaron J. Walker's got problems by the look of it. We'll have to look at his card as it goes past our position. But the Dan Holland racing driver, Aaron J. Walker, has been shown the mechanical flag. That's a real shame. So his race effectively is over as Sam Shaw and now Lomliev go through to the lead. 1st and 2nd places, those two. Back on the inside comes McQueen, charges up the inside of Lomliev. There's enough space for Cole to get on the inside too. He does not make it. Serenetti up to 5th. Right on the back of them, top 5 battling away. Now, what's happened with Aaron J. Walker's car? The 80. He's got a problem with the rear bumper, and he knows it. He's suddenly slowed right down and is letting the pack come by. What a shame for Aaron J. Walker. His race is over. As out in front, it is Caden McQueen no more. Battling away has come Sam Shaw to the lead. McQueen is now going to make the move on the inside line, though. There's enough space for Lomliev to get through, but not for long as Shaw gets squeezed. And up the inside comes Charlie Cole to the inside of Ivan Lomliev. Cole gets up into third, and Serenetti gets past both of them into third position. What a move from Serenetti over the bridge. He takes them both and gets into third place. Fantastic from Serenetti. Now up into fourth place is going to come Lomliev on the inside of Charlie Cole. Squeezes through and makes the place his own. Archie Walker still sat there in P6, waiting for a moment from these five up front, and it could be the box seat. Chigarimbo, meanwhile, battling away with Aaron Walker. As round the outside comes Josh McLean. Drives right round the outside of Aaron Walker into the S's and gets into 8th place. Massive move from McLean. That was such a bold overtake, and he pulls it off. That was so difficult to get right. Now Lomliev is holding on to that third position, having squeezed Caden McQueen. Charlie Cole down the order. Adds Alessandro Serenetti in behind his teammate now. Shaw and Serenetti, 1 and 2. They're working together to get away from Lomliev. McQueen is down in fourth, and Cole has ended up in a squabble as the gaggle of karts behind starts to tighten up. Archie Walker makes the move on the inside of Cole, gets squeezed. Oh, Archie Walker's off the road. Oh, goodness me. Archie Walker spins down out of turn 4 and almost tackles with the ambulance on the far side. Just manages to avoid hitting it. Thank goodness for that. Such a weird angle, that one. Tightens down the road. He got squeezed there in a rather nasty fashion, to be fair. All of that has meant Alessandro Serenetti has got into the lead unsighted. Shaw back into second position past Lomliev with Caden McQueen in the mix. But I have a feeling that Archie Walker is going to get a little bit of justice his way after a little moment there. He's got his hand in the air. He's tapping his helmet going, what are they playing at? And poor Archie Walker was very, very lucky to get away with that one. Down the main straight, though, it is Alessandro Serenetti going into the last lap with a massive lead over his teammate Sam Shaw as Lomliev squeezes past McQueen through the first chicane. And now Josh McLean is coming for a move on the inside line. Aaron Walker is there for P6 as well. Sam Shaw's doing the defensive job of a master at the moment, trying to keep the rest of the field away from his teammate Serenetti. He wanted the victory, but second place will do if he can hang on in front of Lomliev. Lomliev trying to drive right around the outside. Shaw squeezes him in the middle of the circuit. Lomliev gets on the inside, but Shaw's going to have the inside for the next left-hand hairpin, and that's going to hold the place. Can he get the switch back, Lomliev? No, not if Shaw's got anything to say about it. Nicely done, and holds on to second. McQueen and Walker are now charging forward. That's Aaron Walker. Josh McLean in 6th position, but all this means that Alessandro Serenetti is going to have a completely unchallenged run to the victory. Absolutely terrific performance from him as he fights his way back from 11 places back on the grid. Serenetti wins again at PF International in Junior X30. What a race and a fantastic drive from Sam Shaw in second position. It's a 1-2 for BKC Racing in magnificent style. That is such a big moment for this little team. BKC Racing have taken on the big guns. They're almost a privateer outfit. They run on such a tight budget. But the BKC boys 1 and 2 and Papa Serenetti and Papa Shaw will be absolutely elated with those drives. Alessandro beats Sam Shaw from Ivan Lomliev in a fantastic third place, up 14 positions from the grid. Lomliev to third. That's a fantastic fight back. And I know that Radoslav will be very happy with that. Looks as though he had an off on the way back home. And that looks like one of the crop promotion drivers, actually, who finds himself off at turn 1. That's probably after the line, actually, rather than on to the last lap. But Archie Walker right down at the back with his teammate Aaron Walker, the Dan Holland Racing pair, unfortunately out of luck. Now, who is that that's being carried back in? It's one of the Crocs, for definite. Caden McQueen in 4th place. Aaron Walker for Strawberry Racing in 5th from Josh McLean 6th. Then Dan Butterworth, Charlie Cole, Oliver Duffel and Tom Leben in the top 10. From Jamaica's Kalai Atkins, and then it is Jamie Mead from Rashan Chigarimbo, James Walker, Mikai Singh, Sam Heading, Drew Davidson, Harvey Ryby from Aaron Rashepi, Harry Cottrell, Jacob McComb, and Ben Jenkins with 23rd Archie Walker right down at the back. Now, it's definitely one of the crop promotion carts, and one of the wheels has come off. So I'm not sure who. I'm trying to figure out if that's Caden McQueen or if that's his teammate, Drew Davidson. Carly Atkins has already come through and round. I saw the 24 going around, the Jamaican. So it's definitely going to be one of the drivers from Crop Promotions. That livery of race suit is very distinguishable. But I can't quite tell if that is. I think that's Caden McQueen, who's actually gone off there at the first corner. Now, he finished in 4th place, but I wonder if he got squeezed on the way through the Litchfield Bridge. It's certainly one of the crop promotions. We'll have to come back to that later on. But a very dramatic end to the race, that's for certain, as the green flag flies and we get ready for the next race, which is Senior X30. Their battle is about to get underway, and what a battle it's going to be in Senior X30 as the challenge commences in this very competitive field. Gus Lawrence and Nelson King will start from the front row of the grid, with Elliot Harvey and Lewis Gilbert on the second row. Jensen Brown and Teddy Pritchard-Williams on row 3 from Jack Gordon and Derek Morgan. Then Thomas Turner and Axel Laflamme from Tom Nippers and Max Jean, Maurice Luis and Reese Ushijima from Alexander Wang and Sean Butcher, Eduardo Cosateng and Matias Zagazeta, Rufus Hunt and Cameron Coombs from Alex Lloyd and Matthew Hudson, Abigail Ross, Lee Chamberlain, Alexander Patterson and Jake Rubio. So the drivers warming themselves up, ready for a brilliant race in Senior X30. They always are in this category. So we'll see the drivers battling their way through. Now, looking at the identity of the driver walking in, I think that is the Scotsman. I think that is Drew Davidson, who's ended up at the first corner from that previous race. Well, it's going to be a very difficult walk back for him. It's certainly one of the crop promotion drivers. I can't quite identify from a distance. I couldn't see the number of the kart that was being brought back. But a very tricky situation in Junior X30, that is for certain. And to be fair, the crop promotion race hasn't quite started in the same fluidity as you might have expected from all of them. And the driver is actually walking in with his wheel in his hand. That's never a good sign, is it? Senior X30 about to get underway, though. Red lights on, red lights out. Let's race. Charging through, Nelson King trying to squeeze to the inside, but he's not going to get through. Down to 3rd position, in fact, behind Elliot Harvey, as Gus Lawrence takes the early lead. Elliot Harvey 2nd, and in 3rd is Nelson King as they squeeze up the field. Lewis Gilbert hangs on for 4th position early doors. Great start as they filter their way out off the bridge and down the back straight. A cracking start for Gus Lawrence. That's exactly how to get the job done. Elliot Harvey already into 2nd position, trying to tighten his way through the apexes as they work through that first hairpin. No major catastrophes. Everybody's staying clean. Into the 2nd hairpin. Harvey goes on the inside and goes for Gus Lawrence, but Lawrence gets him back on the switchback and retains the lead once more. So a big moment for Harvey as he nearly took the lead, but just drifted a slightest bit wide, and that's enough for Lawrence to retake it. So a brief swap of positions, but nothing major, unfortunately, in terms of making his way move further forward. But a really exciting race is on the march. So let's see how the drivers continue to battle. It will be very tough from here on in. Across the line, Lawrence, Harvey, King, Pritchard-Williams, Gilbert, Brown, Morgan, Gordon, Turner, Laflamme, Nippers, Ushijima and Max Jean, ahead of Sean Butcher and Maurice Luis. They go through on top of the bridge once again. And off the turn, Elliot Harvey still dialing in with Nelson King, his teammate, behind him. Now, this could be an interesting challenge with the two drivers working together on V Motorsport's Gus Lawrence. Brilliant pole position lap he grabbed earlier in the qualifying. Nelson King's going to get up the inside of his teammate Harvey. They change tack. Harvey gets back on the inside to move to cover for Lewis Gilbert. 5th place is the 15 of Jensen Brown now, with both Gilbert and Jensen Brown having got past Pritchard-Williams. What has happened to the 55, actually? I think he's fallen a couple of places down the order. So a big issue there as the drivers are continuing to contest and basically assume the issue. It's not going to be particularly easy. They know what's at stake and they know what's likely to happen as they continue to charge forward. But a really strong battle all the way through. Now, the driver who did come off in the previous junior race, it was Drew Davidson, unfortunately. He's now coming in, the 95. So further back in the Senior X30 grid on the back straight, it is still King in front of... it's Lawrence in front of King. Here goes Gilbert on the inside of Harvey for 3rd, and he gets through into that 3rd position spot. Now King's going for the lead in the 2nd hairpin on the inside of Gus Lawrence. Squeezes Lawrence wide. He's trying to get right across to stop Gilbert come through, and Gilbert does bail out of it for the moment. But up to the lead has come Nelson King. So Nelson King is your new race leader in front of Gus Lawrence as they duel for position. Really good battles. But Nelson King is running well in the lead of the race in front of Gus Lawrence, then Gilbert and Harvey. And in 4th position, Harvey is looking very strong as they battle down the main straight once more. In behind him, Jensen Brown. Then Derek Morgan and Teddy Pritchard-Williams. They fly under the Litchfield Bridge, and that's a change for the lead. Gus Lawrence up the inside, takes the lead. Is Gilbert going to get through for second? No, he does not. As well defended by Nelson King, only keeps the door shut for one. Gilbert then goes through on turn 5 as they drop off the bridge and down the hill. Nicely done. They go down the back straight and up towards 6. Morgan's making some good progress on the inside line as he jostles for position, goes side by side with Harvey to try and move into 4th place. That doesn't work. That leaves the door open for both Harvey to retain the place and Pritchard-Williams to get back into 5th place as they go onto the short stretch to the chicane. Thomas Turner now on the inside of Jensen Brown gets him into the first apex of the S's. Up towards Bobby Game. They fly through the right-hander. Back onto the brakes for Mike Wilson Complex. That long flowing hairpin. This is going to be a tough one for Gus Lawrence to keep Lewis Gilbert at bay. They come into the final chicane and down the back straight, down the main straight once again, And Gilbert's definitely got Lawrence on a run. He's not going to get him into the first chicane, but watch him as they go under the Litchfield Bridge. They dive under the bridge, turning through. Not going to make the move just yet as they coast through round that hairpin. Up at the top of the loop. Battles aplenty further down the order as drivers still making good progress. And Gilbert tries to make the move on Lawrence and gets impeded. Gets the door shut firmly in his face. Gilbert gestures to Nelson King. We're both now down the order as a result of that. Let's work together and catch him up again. And Nelson King responds with cooperation. And through on the inside, that's Axel Laflamme making his bid to come through in the Paralin chassis on the inside of Jensen Brown. So Axel Laflamme makes the move and gets through up into 8th position behind Morgan and Turner. So on the far side, this is going to be a very interesting challenge for Lewis Gilbert to get back on terms with Gus Lawrence. And he won't be terribly appreciative of what Gus Lawrence would have done to him to chop him off in that turn 5 right. But I'm not seeing any warnings of any kind or any messages. So that must have been a clean bit of defence. Gilbert obviously being a little bit eager to get through into the lead. They sweep up the top end of the hill. That's a move for 6th position, I think, as on the inside line. That's Derek Morgan. Gets the move, as so too does Axel Laflamme on a very disappointed Nelson King, who now finds himself way down in 8th position. He was leading a couple of laps ago, if you remember, and that's a big, bold lunge from further back. Sean Butcher gets into 9th position as he squeezes Jensen Brown, and next up, it's one of the Paralins. That's Reese Ushijima, as he goes wheel to wheel now with Alex Wang, and up the inside comes Alex Lloyd. So Lloyd gets through and passes Ushijima instead. But some great tussles all the way down the order as a very a very frustrated Rufus Hunt was trying to keep Patterson and Ross, his teammates, at bay. But both Alex Patterson and Abigail Ross getting through there at the chicane. As onto the main straight, Lewis Gilbert still charging after Gus Lawrence. 2 minutes 7 on the clock plus the additional lap. They come through under the Litchfield Bridge. And this is going to be pretty intense stuff. Up through onto the hairpin once again. Over the bridge, square right. Gilbert's making massive inroads into Gus Lawrence's lead. The gap between them is decreasing all the time. A 20.26 from Lawrence, a 20.08 for Gilbert. He's chomping away at this lead. Harvey now 3rd from Teddy Pritchard-Williams. Watch the Welshman. He's absolutely on it in 4th position, trying to keep the reigning newly crowned Winter Series champion Thomas Turner at bay. As up the inside, that's a bold lunge from King. Doesn't work as he tries to get himself back on terms with Derek Morgan and Axel Laflamme. Sean Butcher's in the mix there as well in 9th place from Jensen Brown and Alex Wang. Then it's Lloyd, Ushijima, Jean, Gordon, Zagazeta, Hudson, Luis, Nippers, Patterson, Hunt and Ross from Costerten, Coombs, Chamberlain and Rubio. And Gilbert has caught Gus Lawrence up now with a minute to go. So I think at the end of this lap, they are going to get 2 laps to go. But Gilbert is pushing with Gus Lawrence. He knows that he's still got time to kill, but he's got a big gap back to Elliot Harvey and Teddy Pritchard-Williams. As up the inside goes Thomas Turner. The Mark Litchfield driver gets through into 4th position, and Gilbert goes for the lead in the hairpin. He's not going to wait around. He takes the lead from Gus Lawrence. The door ride diamond hits the front and leads here at PF International as he goes into the 2nd hairpin and charges now to the chicane. Oh, that's Risa Shijima. He's got off onto the grass at the end of the 1st hairpin and unfortunately has tumbled down to 17th behind Hudson and Jack Gordon. And Risa Shijima now trying to hold on in front of the Frenchman Maurice Luis, but Luis gets through. So just running a little bit wide for Shijima. That's cost him dearly as he's run very wide. But now the field continues on round the final turn, and it's Lewis Gilbert in front of Gus Lawrence, but Lawrence is coming back at him. 2 laps to go by my math. Just a handful of seconds as they cross the line. So now it is going to be a race to the finish between Gilbert and Lawrence. as Gilbert continues to hold station. Harvey is third from Turner, Pritchard Williams, Laflamme, Butcher, Alex Lloyd up to 8th place from 13 places back. Lawrence tries again on Gilbert. Gilbert moves the kart an inch across and holds Lawrence charge. So Lawrence isn't going to get through. Now he's going to try again in the second hairpin. Blends out very wide. And Gilbert's going to get back through on the inside line. Lawrence tries to squeeze him. Gilbert is not going to be intimidated. Squeezes back through. Lawrence now tries again on the second apex of the chicane and forces the issue. Now the two of them have got Elliot Harvey breathing down their necks as they battle away once more. Lewis Gilbert is not happy with Gus Lawrence squeezing him there. But both drivers giving as good as they've got as they go into the last lap down the main straight. And Lawrence leads the way. Gilbert now having to defend from Harvey and Turner as they sweep through the chicane. But there is still a chance he can catch up to them. The man in front, Gus Lawrence. Gilbert, Harvey and Turner all together. Harvey bangs wheels with Gilbert and Harvey gets through, squeezes enough space to get through on the inside. Gilbert now going to need to work with Elliot Harvey to close up on Gus Lawrence. Gilbert seems to have a little bit of a job to keep Thomas Turner at bay now for third position. The momentum seems to be lost, and Turner's going to get alongside Lewis Gilbert. Gilbert squeezing him out for the final bit, and up the inside, Teddy Pritchard Williams with a very late move and gets it into P4. My goodness, that's the smallest gap I've ever seen pull off in that hairpin. Good move from Pritchard, absolutely terrific from Pritchard Williams. Now they come through the Mike Wilson complex for the last time, and Elliot Harvey's got one final run at Gus Lawrence. He can get a decent run out of the chicane and blast out of the final corner, but I'm not sure there's going to be enough pace. The checkered flag flies and Lawrence beats Harvey, Gilbert and Pritchard Williams to the flag. Thomas Turner in a bold 5th place. 6th is Axel Laflamme, Sean Butcher and Alex Lloyd, who makes up 13 places off the grid. He's the hard charger to 8th place. Nelson King and Derek Morgan. Matthias Zagazeta up 7 to 11th, and Matthew Hudson makes up 10 to be 12th. Then it's Max Jean from Jack Gordon, Alex Wang and Maurice Luis, Alex Patterson and Reese Ushijima from Rufus Hunt, Tom Nippers, Eduardo Cosateng, Cameron Coombs, then Jensen Brown, Lee Chamberlain, Jake Rubio, and the one retirement from the race 3 laps ago, Abigail Ross. So very dramatic stuff, as we always expected it would be in Senior X30. And there's been an off in the final corners of the race as well. Oh, Abigail Ross was off the circuit up at turn 5. I can just see her kart now being rescued, having gone off the circuit at turn 5. Unfortunately, the kart was just in my blind spot at the beam that's just in front of my corner position of the commentary box, so I couldn't see that incident as I was looking too much at the leaders. But Abigail Ross, sadly, out of the race after what was a very busy day at the office up to that point. So one retirement from that race, but what a battle up front. Lawrence in front of Harvey, Gilbert, Pritchard Williams and Turner. Laflamme, Butcher, Lloyd, King and Derek Morgan in the top 10. Some really exciting racing from Senior X30 once again. We knew it was going to be very tight, but I think we've been well and truly spoilt in that race, and I'm very glad we were, to be fair. There was a lot of good race action. 13 races before we get to the repêchages, and that's, of course, the point when we also take our well-earned lunch break. Well done to all of the marshals, mainly from Trent Valley Kart Club, but also representing Motorsport UK out there as well. Great again to be here at PF International. They really have put on yet another fantastic show for our first Motorsport UK British Kart Championships round. And it's wonderful to see the sky being so blue. There's a few clouds in the air and it's a bit cold and a bit breezy, but there's still plenty of great action from the drivers over the course of the day to enjoy. So the battle is going to be very keen and obviously very entertaining as the racing continues. We're going to see some absolutely magic action over the course of the weekend, and it really will be absolutely spectacular. So let's see what the drivers can do as they continue to battle away. It's obviously going to be a very tough battle. They know exactly what's at stake in Mini X30. It's in Senior X30 second heat, sorry, because we've already had the first heat there for Senior X30. The second heat is coming up now, and we're going to see some truly sensational racing from the drivers as they battle away for supremacy. Cole Kilner will take pole position for this heat for the Mick Barrett Racing Team in front of Alex Pendlebury. The Persistence karts have been going absolutely stinkingly good around this PF International circuit, not just this weekend, but also over the course of the winter. The circuit is clear. The green flag flies at the top of the gantry, and we're ready to send the drivers out, ready for the second Senior X30 heat of the day and the 5th race of this 2019 IAME Classes Motorsport UK British Kart Championship season opener at PF International. Here's the grid for race 5, the second Senior X30 heat. Cole Kilner and Alex Pendlebury on the front row from Clayton Ravenscroft and Mark Kimber. Morgan Porter and Louis Westover on the third row from Oliver Hodgson and Rory Hudson. Luke Whitehead and Charles Lamb, then Thomas Wood and Archie Tillett from Callum Barnett and Lewis Malin, Ryan Green and Matt Armstrong, and then it is Ben Hodge and Harry Barlow from Ollie Greetham and Roman LaRue, from Henry Ayers, Josh Graham, Piers Henderson, Callum Driscoll, Matilda Olsen and Caroline Gandas. Now, don't be put off by the fact that the two drivers at the back of the field are both of female persuasion. Matilda Olsen is a Euro Series race winner and is one of the front runners, was the fastest driver of the entire weekend at Valencia in February. And Caroline Gandas has had a very successful French campaign as well. She's one of the top drivers in France and saw the challenge to come to Great Britain. They both got very badly caught out in their respective qualifying heats. So obviously now they're going to have to go into race trim from the back of the grid. But both of them will be expecting to make good progress, particularly Matilda Olsen, the 18-year-old from Uppsala in Sweden, who's going to be absolutely fantastic off the board. But it's Kilner and Pendlebury from the front. Ravenscroft, the reigning European champion, Mark Kimber, Porter, Westover, Hodgson and Hudson. And it's a good start. Away we go. Chart up to the first corner. Pendlebury's going to sweep through from the outside line and take the early advantage. And it looks like Kimber's gone through as well to go into third in front of Ravenscroft. Sweeping out of the Litchfield Bridge. No major catastrophes, but Pendlebury hits the front for Persistence Motorsport, sweeping through in front of Cole Kilner. And Mark Kimber has got through into third position in front of... That's got to be Louis Westover, charging his way through to fourth position. Ravenscroft's not got a great start, down to sixth position, in behind Morgan Porter of the M Sport squad. And there's a big problem for one of the BKC drivers, dropping down the order. No, sorry, that is Archie Tillett, in fact, the PFI driver. So Archie Tillett has not had a great start and has dropped down several positions, unfortunately. Now in the mix there with the 84 of Callum Driscoll. Problems on the first lap, though, for two of them, namely Matilda Olsen and Caroline Gandas. It looks as though they've had an incident trying to work their way through the field. Neither of them seem to have the early pace we thought they would have. Matilda Olsen in particular is a top six driver for absolute definite. Here they come down the straight. And over the line, it is Pendlebury from Kilner. Third is Westover from Kimber, Ravenscroft, Hudson, Hodgson, Whitehead, Porter, Lamb, Wood and Lewis Malin. So they jockey for position up towards the bridge and up the inside. It's a late move from Kilner, but a successful one as he gets into the lead up through turn 4. And that leaves Pendlebury in the clutches of Westover and Kimber, who are working together to get on terms with the Mick Barrett Racing driver, who's now in the lead. Oh, big late lunge from Pendlebury. And he nudges the back of his opponent there, Kilner. Pendlebury runs them both wide, and Westover and Kimber get through into first and second. They rejoin those two in third and fourth, but now Ravenscroft makes the move on the inside of Pendlebury, and next in the line is Oliver Hodgson. So Westover leads in front of Kimber, then it is Pendlebury in front of Ravenscroft, Kilner, and then Oliver Hodgson in front of Hudson, Whitehead, Porter, Lamb, Wood, Malin, Green, Armstrong, and the Isle of Man racer Callum Barnett down the main straight. A good run this so far for Louis Westover. He leads in front of Mark Kimber. They charge through. Kilner, Ravenscroft, Pendlebury, Hodgson, Porter, Lamb and Whitehead. They go under the Litchfield Bridge. No major drama in the top 10 as they go through once again. And here's the move from Kimber on the inside of Westover and gets the lead. Good job from Mark Kimber. Charges through. Down the back straight now they run. And the European champion now leads the British Championship heat. Ravenscroft on the inside for third. That's a lovely time move on the inside of Kilner. And now it's Kilner versus Pendlebury. Take two. Ding, ding. Back to your corner, gents. There's no contact this time as Hodgson sweeps up the inside of Pendlebury. And it looks as though Charles Lamb is going to get a chance to come through as well. Problems for the 10. That's a real issue for Rory Hudson. He's ended up falling down several places. Tried to make a move on the hairpin and ended up losing traction. And that has dropped him off the back of that queue. So Westover, no longer the race leader, but all over the back of Mark Kimber as they come down the main straight. So Kimber working hard. Charges his way through over the line. Ravenscroft third from Kilner. Hodgson, Pendlebury, Lamb, Whitehead, Porter, Malin, Wood, Green, Armstrong and Hudson from Roman LaRue and Ollie Greetham. Callum Barnett still in the mix as that's a nice move in the mid-pack as they battle away for position. Up to second has come Ravenscroft. Ravenscroft has made the move on Westover, and Westover's lost out ground to Cole Kilner as well. Now Westover makes his move back and into third position at the hairpin. Nicely done. Up to fourth comes Hodgson. Tagging positions there, those two. Kilner trying to squeeze up, and round the outside comes Charlie Lamb as he tries to get one over on Pendlebury. That's not going to work. Morgan Porter, meanwhile, shaking off the attentions of Luke Whitehead, who has definitely had his Weetabix this morning. He's charging his way back into contention. Luke Whitehead all over the back of Charles Lamb. Through the hairpin, up onto the far side. Is that Ravenscroft leading? It is as well. How does he do it? Absolutely amazing. He's found Kimber, got him on the inside line at the far end of the circuit, and Ravenscroft hits the front. Well, I shouldn't be too surprised. He's had an amazing whirlwind 18 months as Ravenscroft. Been one of the stars of IAME racing in Britain and even further afield. And he's just taken on the European champion and got past him in a straight fight. Down the back straight. This is the year for Ravenscroft as far as he's concerned. Last year was a good one. He pulled off several accolades, including the British Championship last year. He wants to continue on. British champion in the juniors, I should point out. He wants to continue on as a senior and be one of the best in the world. And he's got plenty of opportunity to do that as Matilda Olsen makes a good move on Callum Barnett. Barnett having a difficulty and Barnett getting her straight back again. I think Olsen's got some kind of mechanical problem, you know. She's fighting a difficult kart by the look of things. And even Caroline Candas has now got plenty of potential to overtake. I think she may even be touring in to retire. Down the straight, Ravenscroft is your leader. Kimber in second. Westover in third up the inside, though, and takes second place. Westover storms through at the first chicane and into P2. Third place for Westover then. Now becomes second. Hodgson is fourth, and he's the circuit expert here, as we know. Oliver Hodgson racing for the PF International squad. Down the back straight, can he make the move on Mark Kimber? It's not going to be easy. He knows that for a fact. As Kimber goes a little bit deep, Hodgson tries to make the move up to the inside line. He's not quite able to make the move into the second hairpin either as they settle themselves out. Ravenscroft with a good lead over Westover now, though. Kimber and Hodgson close back. A few more kart lengths, and then it's Cole Kilner in front of Alex Pendlebury from Porter, Whitehead, Lamb, and Malin. Some terrific racing. And indeed, Matilda Olsen has fallen to the back of the grid. What's happened to the Swede? She's so much faster than this. She did a great job in testing yesterday, but for some reason, it's just not working out today. Ravenscroft, 2 minutes to go, plus the additional lap, and it's Ravenscroft, Westover, Kimber, Hodgson, Kilner, Pendlebury, Porter, Whitehead, Malin, and Lamb. From Hudson, Wood, Green, Hodge, Greetham, Tillett, Armstrong, and Piers Henderson in front of Henry Ayres and Roman LaRue. From Harry Barlow, Graham, Driscoll, Barnett, Candace, and Olsen. Down the back straight. Hodgson now has broken into third position. He has found the way past Kimber, must have done that over the bridge. And is now trying to keep back from Kimber again. Kimber tries to retaliate to get back into that third position spot. But with Ravenscroft and Westover up the road, they need to work together now. Hodgson's made the decision to get through into third position, and that has obviously made him lose time to Westover up the road. So Kimber's attitude is very simple. You buttered your bread, mate. You've got to eat it now and work with me. So down the straight comes Ravenscroft out of the final turn, and he's got a handful of seconds to go after the next minute. So I think we're going to get 3 laps to go, essentially. There's a good battle shaping up further back as Morgan Porter, having fought back into 7th position, is going to have Alex Pendlebury back on the inside line. And Pendlebury has gone through on Morgan Porter and retaken that 7th place. Morgan Porter really struggling at the moment in 8th position. Not having the best of starts to his weekend. Charlie Lamb is next up in 9th place, having got past Lewis Malin. Malin is trying to retaliate as Pendlebury once again sorts out Porter, trying to get back past him. Porter then makes the move and sweeps back into 7th place. There's enough room for Charlie Lamb to continue the move, and he's going to get a bit of help there, and he gets through. So nicely done from Charlie Lamb with a little bit of support from Lewis Malin to get him up into the top 10, further up the order. Malin now makes his bid to come through into 9th place. Hasn't worked out. He's got to be a bit more patient. But with Hodgson in front of Kimber for 3rd position, it's fizzling out with 5 seconds to go, plus the additional lap. So that is obviously going to be 2 laps left. Time runs to 0, but we are going to have a victory dais for Clayton Ravenscroft at this particular pace. The Chaos Sport team had a frustrating day yesterday, all sorts of difficulties with engine seizures, but now things are going much better. Ravenscroft out in the lead, 2nd place for Westover, 3rd for Hodgson and Kimber, and then in 5th position, That is the 73 of Cole Kilner from Luke Whitehead in 6th position. Whitehead having an amazing comeback in this race. Has just been picking them off one by one and got himself back up the order to P6. Not long out of juniors, of course, Luke Whitehead. So good to see him there. As amazing squabble further back sees the 22 of Archie Tillett dive up the inside of Ben Hodge and makes the move stick there. So Tillett retaliating, I think, on Hodge, having already got past him once. Last lap, here we go. And Ravenscroft has been caught by Westover in that last lap. Westover's pulled out a qualifying style lap from the bag to go faster and dive up the inside. Ravenscroft's having to defend big style. Westover tries to come back on the undercut. Ravenscroft is ready for him. He holds on to the lead as they come down off the back straight. And down the back straight run, Ravenscroft, he's looking behind him. He wants to see where Westover is. He actually backed off the throttle fairly early into the lap, into the move. He wanted to see how far back he was. Westover now trying to come the long way right round the outside of Ravenscroft. It's never going to work, but massive bones to him for giving it a go. Ravenscroft holds the inside line. There's now 5 of them all in a squabble. It's Ravenscroft, Westover, Hodgson, Kimber, Kilner. And they're going to squabble down to the final turn as Hodgson makes his bid on the inside of Westover. Squeezes him, gets into 2nd place. Kimber's gone through as well, but not Kilner. Kilner's going to try and retaliate up the inside again for Westover's not going to make it. Hodgson's going to try for the line on Ravenscroft, but Ravenscroft's going to get the win. Brilliant racing. Fantastic drive. Ravenscroft grabs the win from Hodgson and Kimber. Westover down to 4th in the end from Cole Kilner. Whitehead is 6th from Charles Lamb and Alex Pendlebury. Lewis Malin and Rory Hudson. And then, of course, it is Morgan Porter who comes through in 11th place in front of Thomas Wood and Archie Tillett, from Ollie Greetham and Matt Armstrong, Ben Hodge and Piers Henderson, Henry Ayres. And then completing the top 20 are Ryan Green and Josh Graham, from Callum Barnett and Callum Driscoll, from Roman LaRue and Caroline Candas. Then Harry Barlow and Matilda Olsen, who had all sorts of problems in that race. The car just not running the way it should be running at all. So a real shame, effectively, for several drivers in the field. That was not the race they wanted. Roman LaRue and Matilda Olsen, the 2 Strawberry Racing teammates, were way off the pace they were expected to be. Callum Barnett struggled in that one as well. And Harry Barlow tumbling down the order, unfortunately, too. But some good progress from Oliver Hodgson, up 5 places. The Hard Charger Award goes to Piers Henderson, up 6 places from 23rd on the grid to 17th. A good run from him, and a good battle, too, from the likes of Louis Westover and Luke Whitehead, who made up 3 places, as did Charles Lamb of the Mick Barrett Racing team. So some good progress there in the 2nd Senior X30 heat. And we're going to see lots of good racing from them as the day continues. Mini X30 is up next here at PF International, with more great racing on the way, as the drivers are expecting a very tough battle ahead of them. It will be very close. The driving standards are very high, and there's great race action throughout, but obviously it's still very early doors, and drivers desperate to get the best qualifying positions they can possibly fight for those final races of the day in each of the 4 categories: Mini, Junior, Senior and IAME Cadet, before the podium ceremonies later this afternoon for the first round of the 2019 Motorsport UK British Kart Championships, that of course take us all the way through the season with a 12-round championship across the 6 weekends. Round 1 on the Saturday, round 2 on the Sunday for each of the weekends. And it's going to give us 12 fantastic championship point scoring races over the course of the season that will decide the first ever IAME British Kart Championships champions run under the Motorsport UK banner. And we're really excited how it's going to continue to play out over the course of this season. So far so good at PF International from Senior X30, with Clayton Ravenscroft picking up a heat win. If you've only just joined us, it's been a very busy day at the office so far at PF International, with wins aplenty. In the first of the race heats, Sonny Smith held on in front of Harley Keeble in IAME Cadet from Brandon Carr and Harry Jr. Burgoyne, with Keir Nakamura Berta and Vinnie Phillips coming home in the top 6. In Mini X30, we are still to race, and they are coming out on track next, of course. In the 2 Junior X30 heats, we've had victories so far for Josh Rowledge ahead of Oliver Gray and Alex Lee. And then in their second race, it was Alessandro Serenetti in front of Sam Shaw for a 1-2 for the BKC Racing Squad ahead of Ivan Lomliev. Just to update you on a few bits and pieces of information you may not be aware of, the top 10 is pretty much as it was originally for the previous races, although there was just one penalty handed out in IAME Cadet for Will Knight. which dropped him a little way down the order. In Junior X30, it was a bit of a topsy-turvy one because there were several places changed. Rowledge and Gray kept their positions, but Alex Lay was promoted to third after Joe Taylor and Tyler Reid were given some nose-fairing penalties, we're told. And also for Chris Harnan, Edqvist, Taylor, Hawthorne and Spindlow were all given additional penalties. We think it's for damage, essentially, and obviously front-fairing penalties rather than anything more malicious than that. Alessandro Serenetti keeps his win in juniors as well in front of Sam Shaw and Ivan Lomliev, from Caden McQueen and Aaron Walker, Josh McLean, Oliver Duffel, Tom Levin, Colai Atkins and Jamie Mead, with a handful of penalties handed out to Dan Butterworth, Charlie Cole, Rashan Chigarimbo and James Walker after a hectic race. In Senior X30 we've heard of no changes so far, so as far as we're concerned, Gus Lawrence has the win in front of Elliot Harvey and Teddy Pritchard-Williams from the first race a moment ago. And then obviously the victory we just had for Clayton Ravenscroft in front of the likes of Hodgson and Kimber. So now we move into Mini X30. The battle continues on once more as the drivers are ready for the action. And it's going to be quite a sensational race for them all. Let's talk you through the starting grid once more for this Mini X30 first race of the weekend. Oliver Greenall alongside Alfie Rigby, Fusion Motorsport versus KR Sport. Luke Watson, Edward Pearson on the second row from Theo Mercouris and Jessica Edgar. Then Olivier Algieri and Marcus Luzio from Ian Aguilera and Daniel Bolton. Then it is Bart Harrison and Evan Brown, Aidan Lyne and Alexander Renner, Gabriel Stilp and Antonio Sofronio from JJ Russell and Ashton Parsons. It's a tough one to predict in Mini X30. There's some very talented drivers in this field. Oliver Greenall won all 4 finals at this circuit's winter series over the course of the last 4 months. The last of those coming 6 days ago. I've forgotten my maths. 6 days ago he won that final. Alfie Rigby's been very competitive across his mini and junior campaigns over the last 4 months. Luke Watts, runner-up in the Winter Series here. Ed Pearson, always at the sharp end. Theo Mercouris, like Alfie Rigby, top 3 of Honda Cadet last year. And Jessica Edgar, a multiple winner in the category. All in the top 6. Let's see what happens as the lights go right and see. A great charge to the first corner. Oh, and a slide wide from Luzio. He manages to get it back into position, but having lost quite a few positions in the process. At the front, no major changes. Looks as though Greenall has held the lead in front of Luke Watts, who's made his way through to second place. Rigby is third. Mercouris is now fourth. So Ed Pearson has slotted into P5 in front of Olivier Algieri, I think that is, having worked his way through. Watts makes the move for second on Rigby. So that is Luke Watts into second place. Alfie Rigby trying to get back into that second place spot. Round the outside, Theo Mercouris is trying to get a switchback move. Is up into fifth place from a long way back. Comes Ian Aguilera. The Mexicans had an amazing first lap, and he's into P5 now in front of Jessica Edgar. So the 2 Fusion karts are 5th and 6th. As up the inside, Rigby tries again into Bobby Game corner. Has to hold off the charge for the moment. As into the lead, that looks to be Greenall still hanging on. So Greenall running well. The 84 gets a warning flag. That is Dan Bolton. Not sure what that's going to be for, but across the line. And it's Oliver Greenall who leads from Watson, Rigby, then Mercouris. 5th is Aguilera from Edgar, Algieri, Pearson, Brown, Stilt, Luzio, Bolton, Renner, Harrison, Sofronio, Russell, Parsons and Lyne. So through they come. Over the bridge once again, into turn 5, and that's a lead change as Alfie Rigby takes the lead of the race. So he's got past Watts and Ross Greenall in the first few corners. He chops back across the inside as Mercouris does for the inside of Watts up on the curbs. They both drift out wide. Aguilera's going to get on the inside, but Mercouris fights to get back onto the inside for the next hairpin. Gets third position back. Watts is going to go with him. Watts now dives for the inside and gets third. Brilliant bit of driving. And now Jessica Edgar is chopped across by Theo Mercouris. Edgar gets on the inside of Aguilera and also through into the 6th position spot. Who is that? That looks like Algieri has got himself now into the P6 spot. So the 2 leaders have broken away and clear, and they're still squabbling away in Mini X30 as Edgar loses ground to Mercouris in the bid to get up into 4th position. And Algieri is still there for the attack in 6th position. But down the straight, it's Rigby leading and Greenall second. Watts is now third. Bit of a gap back to Mercouris, Edgar and Algieri. Pearson, Brown, Stilp, Aguilera down to 10th. Then Bolton, Luzio, Harrison, Renner, Sofronio, Russell, Lyne and Parsons. Over the bridge. That's a bold move from Algieri, who gets through on the inside of Edgar. That is for P4. Algieri charging his way through. Mercouris down to 6th place as a result. Edgar now makes the move for P4. That's a line space move from Mercouris as well to get past Algieri. Algieri defends from his teammate. And here comes Ed Pearson round the outside to try and tuck in. Got a little bit of a love tap from behind as well. The 11 of Evan Brown trying to get into the mix. And that's through from Pearson, through from Brown. They both get through, and Evan Brown manages to finish off the move quite nicely there to get into 7th position. Good work from Brown. They come through the Mike Wilson complex. Rigby has been caught rapidly by Oliver Greenall. Luke Watts is there in 3rd. Will Greenall go for the move, or will he see the percentage in working with Rigby to get away from the pack? KR Sport versus Fusion Motorsport up at the front end under the Litchfield Bridge with over a second back to Luke Watts. Then Edgar, McCurris, Pearson, Brown, Algieri, Stilp, Bolton, Harrison and Aguilera. And there's a warning flag gone out to Marcus Luzio. I'm not sure exactly what that's meant to be for. Down the back straight. There goes Greenall on the charge of Rigby. Rigby holds Mark in the braking zone. Very nicely done there. He's not going to let Oliver Greenall go very early. So through to the inside line again. They battle away down that short stretch into the chicane. Left, right, and onto the back stretch towards that long sweeping right at Bobby Game corner. Very fast corner, that one. And up towards the Mike Wilson complex once again. Greenall working with Alfie Rigby. Not going to make the overtaking move yet. He wants to get well away from Watts and Edgar, who are in 3rd and 4th at the moment. Jessica Edgar's definitely one to watch in this race. Greenall checks out behind him what the gap is like. I can tell you what it's like. It's over 2 seconds. Back to 3rd place Watts as Jessica Edgar has caught the back of Watts and goes for 3rd position. Hesitates a little bit on the exit though, but still has plenty of room to make the move switch and gets the position. That's very nicely handled. Onto the back straight comes Jessica Edgar as he charges after the 2 leaders up front, Rigby and Greenall. Is Greenall going to make the move on the inside of Rigby to the hairpin? Not yet. See, they just want to bide their time. They've got a long way to go still. 3 minutes and 15 is a lifetime in these karts. You've got to wait until you're into the penultimate lap, essentially, to really make those bold moves. Edgar now through into 3rd position. A brilliant overtake from her as she's got past Luke Watts. So now it's going to be Pearson and McCurris who are battling away for 5th position in front of Evan Brown, Olivia Algieri and Dan Bolton. But Rigby and Greenall come out of that final turn. Down the main straight once again. Over the line. Good runs from both of them as they both pop in a 1 minute 0.3. 3.5 for Rigby, 3.4 for Greenall. That's how close they are between them. There's nothing in it as they edge each other around the circuit. Just trying to get that little bit further up the road from Edgar and Watts. Pearson is 5th in front of McCurris now, having charged his way through. So Ed Pearson having a great race here as he's managed to get a big move on the inside of Theo McCurris. McCurris is now working with Pearson to try and close up on the 2 drivers up in 3rd and 4th. But still no change between Rigby and Greenall. Greenall is a very patient driver. He takes his time over things. He's not a silly manoeuvrer in any way, shape or form. He always calculates these things absolutely to perfection. Of any of the drivers in this field, you have to say that Oliver Greenall is the early season favourite. But what he's been able to do with this car in these positions has been absolutely phenomenal. He's put in some exceptional performances as they come off the final turn and down the main straight. This is going to be a really excellent run as Rigby again has Greenall breathing down his neck. They sweep through the first chicane, through the right, through the left, under the Litchfield Bridge, and now they come through the first hairpin. Big slide, unfortunately, from Greenall. Now he's going to try and edge through on Rigby. Oh, very nice defence from Rigby as he pulls the car just an inch or so across the racing line to try and get that ultimate manoeuvre. Down the back straight, up to the braking zone. Greenall just reading that turn very nicely in the braking zone. Not going to get too much of an undercut on Rigby. They still have time to kill here. The next lap is going to be the penultimate one. So I think that's when he's really going to make his ultimate move. So Rigby's still there from Greenall. Edgar still in 3rd ahead of Watts. And then another gap back to Pearson and McCurris. Then the next man in is Olivia Algieri. 7th place from Brown and Bolton, who are trying desperately to keep the 10th place man, Bart Harrison, at bay. So they will continue their charge forward. But expect the battle and the gaggle to start at this point because they're going to come through the final chicane. Watts is stepping up the attack on the back of Jess Edgar. Here they come over the line. Rigby moves across to the middle of the circuit. Knowing there's only 2 laps to go, he's going to try and hold on to this for the entirety of the last lap in front of Greenall. He wants to try and stop him coming through at any point, because he knows that the gap they've built up is over 2 seconds. This is where he's going to try and make his bid to come through for the lead. Down the back straight. Is this going to be the manoeuvre? No, far too early on into the race. Still got a lap and a half to go. He won't make his move until he absolutely has to, Oliver Greenall. He's going to try and outfox Alfie Rigby. He'll outwit him whenever he gets the opportunity. He's not going to time the move until he absolutely knows it's on. And I have a feeling it's not going to be one that Alfie Rigby will be expecting in any way, shape or form down the short stretch. Into the right flowing right-hander, Bobby Game. Into Mike Wilson. Charging through that long flowing hairpin, back through the left flick, up in the grass again as they come through. Left, right onto the main stretch. It looks like Greenall's getting quite hungry. Here we go, last lap. This is when he's going to dial him in, and Rigby knows it. He's expecting a move. But Oliver Greenall needs to keep him second guessing as to when he's going to make the move. He doesn't charge for the inside at turn 3. Rigby holds a very tight line to hold on to that position as they go over the bridge. Again, Greenall is not going to give Rigby the satisfaction of knowing when he's going for it. Rigby charging around, trying to see where Greenall's going. Stop looking behind you, Alfie. You just got to keep focusing up the road. Keep the car defensive. Stop worrying about where he is and focus on yourself. He knows he's there. Greenall gives him a little love tap into the hairpin. He's going to try and get the undercut. Well defended from Rigby. He's looking almost as much behind him as he is in front of him, though. Greenall's going to get high on the curbs, and that's not going to be enough. I think Rigby's done it. He comes through Bobby Game. Up through to Mike Wilson. Greenall tries his best, but Rigby's kept that car so beautifully wide. And as they go into the final chicane, I don't think Greenall's going to have him. He'll try one more trick down the main straight, but Rigby's going to hold it. Alfie Rigby's going to get the win. Great defence from Rigby. Second for Greenall and third for Jessica Edgar in front of Luke Watts. From Pearson, Makuris, Algieri and Dan Bolton, with Bart Harrison and Evan Brown in the top 10. From Gabriel Stilp and Alexander Renner, who crosses the line, the German in front of the Mexican Ian Aguilera. And then it is Aidan Line from Marcus Luzio, JJ Russell, and Tony Sofronio. And the last man in is going to be Ashton Parsons for Mark Baines Motorsport. But what a drive from Alfie Rigby, hanging on in there as the victor for KR Sport in front of Oliver Greenall and Jessica Edgar, the two Fusion teammates. A really exciting battle all the way to the death. And that sets us up for a brilliant second half of the day's action in the heats. But Mini X30 has started beautifully for Alfie Rigby. That's exactly how he would have wanted to kick things off. And he is there in front of the second and third place third place driver, I should say, Oliver Greenall and Jessica Edgar. Great racing thus far. There's more to come, though, as IAME Cadet is going to have its second of 3 heats in just a couple of minutes' time. And what a great bit of action we're going to be treated to over the course of the day here for the Motorsport UK British Kart Championships. First weekend for the IAME classes here at PF International. It's only just getting good.
There is no terrible way to win. There is only winning.
Let me drive. I will make a fool out of you. Every one of us has to find a reason to do this. You do it because you're driven.
I was beginning to think I'd never be anything more than a piston-happy lead-foot punk. Then this starts to happen.
Somebody put it in your mind you gotta be perfect every time out or you're a failure. Well, forget that. Just forget it.
You ready to put away your toys and grow up? Are you ready to make more money in 1 year than your father made in his whole life? Are you ready to become a real race car driver?
When I won it was probably the last time I ever felt pure victory.
Because I'm quicker than all of you.
And if you no longer go for a gap that exists, you're no longer a racing driver.
But hell, isn't that what we're in this for? To stare death in the face and to cheat it? Come on, there's nobility in that. It's like being knights.
No pressure, nobody breathing down my back, just driving because I left it pure.
A lot of people go through life doing things badly. Racing's important to men who do it well. When you're racing, it's life. Anything that happens before or after, it's just waiting.
I just hope when you do, that I'm there to see it.
Racing. That's the name of the game, isn't it? Win or lose, put up a show.
Fine. Then let's race.
Hi, I'm Tom Ingham and you're listening to Downforce Radio.
Hi, I'm Jake Villeneuve. You're listening to Downforce Radio.
Hi, I'm Bruno Senna. You're listening to Downforce Radio.
Hi, I'm Chris Hoy, and you're listening to Downforce Radio.
Hi, I'm Landon Norris, and you're listening to Downforce Radio.
Enjoying another fantastic day at PF International. It's the first round of the IAME classes for the 2019 Motorsport UK British Kart Championships, and we've had the first heat in each of the individual classes so far. Time to go around and do it all again, starting with IAME Cadet for their second heat coming up shortly. After what has been a very exciting battle, and we've seen some really exciting stuff. Was the Oliver Rowland Motorsport drivers were able to get up to the sharp end in the first heat, but that doesn't mean they're going to have it all their own way today. Quite the opposite, in fact, as the other drivers will have plenty to say about it over the course of the weekend. The championship point-scoring race to come later on, of course, as the drivers prepare for action in the finals, which will kick off today at about 4 o'clock here at PF International, UK time, of course. Hello to you wherever you are listening around the world. We know that we have great presence from the PF International circuit with lots of global motor racing drivers coming from all over the world to race in the British Kart Championships. It is the premier national championship in the world. British karting has always been fantastic at producing the great motor racing drivers of the future, be they karting champions on the world stage or car racers. It's been fantastic to nurture this new talent, and we're getting ready for another fantastic IAME cadet race as the drivers will head out on circuit and put on a bit of a show. The drivers are getting themselves dialed in, ready for some more spectacular racing. And it is a green flag at the top of the gantry with the drivers going around for their warm-up laps. So here's the grid for the second of our IAME cadet races of the day. Sonny Smith hoping to make it 2 from 2, but Aidan Neat alongside him on the front row of the grid, certain to try and get that stop. Harley Keeble and Leo Robinson on the second row from Vinnie Phillips and Archie Clark. Then Brandon Carr and Ethan Jeff Hall, as it's going to be Alex O'Grady and Macaulay Bishop, Lewis Werrell and Lewis Bird, and then Will Knight and Zachary Knight, the two Knight riders. And then Mason Rudman and Kai Bacchini, the boxer, Ewan Downing and Kian Geraghty, Dan Sofranea and Fraser Anderson from Eden Spanswick, Newman Chi, Jack Cunningham and Ben Smith. And it's already a mechanical problem, I'm afraid, for the Chinese driver Newman Chi. So Newman Chi is pulling off at the first chicane, and that is a real problem. Before he even gets to the Litchfield Bridge, Newman Chi, unfortunately, is out of the race and pulls the kart off the circuit and leaves the scene. So a big problem then for Newman Chi. And the Chinese driver is going to be out of the race. That is for certain, as the drivers are battling away for position. But Newman Chi is going to have a really difficult day at the office now, having gone out of the race. And the Chinese driver, unfortunately, is now out. That's a real shame. So a really exciting battle for the drivers as they all continue on without Newman. And a real shame. So his race is over, but the rest of them are dialed in, ready for the start. It's Smith and Neat, Keeble and Robinson, Phillips and Archie Clark. From Carr, Jeff Hall, O'Grady, Bishop, Werrell, Bird and the Knights. Let's see them come through the final corner. And it's going to be a long run. They're going to be on the tram lines. Is it a good start? Yes, it is. Away we go. And Sonny Smith's got a cracking getaway up the front. It's going to be a tricky one for Aidan Neat, and it looks like Robinson's going to have to take to the grass. Indeed, Leo Robinson takes to the grass of the first chicane and goes through. A very difficult start for some of them, but up in the inside line, that is going to be a 1, 2, 3 for Oliver Rowland Motorsport off the start. As Smith has got through into first, Keeble has got through into second, and who's that through into third? I think that is Brandon Carr, who's made it to... No, Carr is second, in fact. Brandon Carr's made an absolute whirlwind getaway, and he's up into second position already. That's a fantastic start. Meanwhile, we've got Phillips and Neat assisting each other in 4th and 5th position. Expect them to challenge for the win. Then in 6th is Alex O'Grady, the Irishman. Under investigation, apparently, is Will Knight, the younger of the two Knight brothers. Not entirely sure what that's meant to be for, but apparently something has become a bit of a transgression. So they come through at the far side of the circuit as they go through the hairpin, making their way up towards the exit of the Mike Wilson complex through to the final chicane. And it's Smith, Carr and Keeble at the front end of the field with Phillips and Neat battling away for 4th position. They come over the line. The Oliver Rowland Motorsport squad having an amazing day at the office. Run, of course, by the Nissan Formula E driver who grabbed his first podium at Santiago in Formula E a few weeks ago. Smith, Carr, Keeble, 1, 2 and 3. Then Vinnie Phillips and Aidan Neat from the Irish cadet champion, Alex O'Grady, now running at British level. Ethan Jeff Hall for the Strawberry Racing team. And the incredibly impressive privateer, Macaulay Bishop, running in 8th position. Amazing to see him out there, considering they are quite literally a lad and dad operation. And he is there in the top 10. And he's been this way for so many years now, having been through as a Bambino and now come up to IAME cadet level. He is taking it to the big teams, and they are seriously threatened by this youngster as Bishop continues to push on. Compared to some of the other guys in the field, Macaulay Bishop, that talent you can clearly see is natural. He has yet to have a single day's coaching from a driver coach, and he is in that top 10. It's absolutely sensational. So the Oliver Rowland Motorsport trio still battling and dueling away. Up to 6th place has come Alex O'Grady, still tussling with Ethan Jeff Hall. So it's ORM, 1, 2, 3, Fusion, 4, 5, 6. Then Strawberry Racing's Ethan Jeff Hall, Bishop, the privateer, and then 2 more Fusions, Archie Clark and Leo Robinson. So the field makes a big impression up the inside. That's the move for second place as Harley Keeble takes his teammate Brandon Carr. So the team are obviously battling away. They don't want to do this too much, though, because in fourth position, that is Vinnie Phillips. And he is closing in with Aidan Knight's assistance as Ethan Jeff Hall has a go up the inside of Alex O'Grady and makes the bid for sixth position. Macaulay Bishop is next. He goes side by side with Alex O'Grady and bails out of it. Switches tack, goes the other side, and Macaulay Bishop is through into P7. What a move from the underdog. Absolutely terrific. The privateer putting on a sensational battle. When was the last time a privateer outfoxed all of the works drivers? He's certainly going the right way about it as he steps up the attack again. And Bishop has made up, well, he's made up 3 places already. No, that's, well, hang on a minute, because he's got past Jeff Hall. He's got past O'Grady. So, no, he's not got quite past Jeff Hall, my apologies. But he is there into 7th place. So he's already made up 3 positions off the grid. Here come the battle for 4th and 5th position. Vinnie Phillips and Aidan Neate now really starting to get after the ORM trio. This is going to become a 5-driver fight very quickly indeed. So expect them to charge forward. It's going to get very exciting at the front end. Yep, Vinnie Phillips is tagging onto the back of the ORMs. Keeble is trying to work with Sonny Smith to get away, but I think he's going to have to go for the lead himself now. He's running out of options, and Kart trying to come through into second position on his teammate Sonny Smith. Here comes Vinnie Phillips. That's opened the door, and Phillips is going to get up the inside of 1, maybe 2 of them. Into second place comes Phillips, and Neate gets the move on Sonny Smith. Not quite enough to get through past both is Vinnie Phillips, so he's in 3rd place now, but Neate is through to 4th, and Smith, the former race leader, is now down in 5th. But breaking at exactly the right moment is Brandon Carr, having broken through to the lead, and it looks as though he's going to hang on for that position. Really exciting stuff so far, but it's Brandon Carr who leads the race. A warning flag, though, has come out for Archie Clark, the 43, so I'm not entirely sure what he's supposed to have done on that lap. Here down the main straight, we've got the 9 of Harley Keeble leading the way. It's not Brandon Carr, my apologies. Carr is in 2nd, but with Neate trying to help out his teammate Phillips as they run in 3rd and 4th. Well, Phillips is now going for 2nd. Phillips into 2nd place up the top of the hill. He's through. Neate is through into 3rd position. Here comes the cavalry. And the Fusion pair are now 2nd and 3rd as they chase after Harley Keeble. So Keeble leads, Phillips 2nd, Neate 3rd, Carr 4th, Smith in 5th, and Bishop is now 6th, having got past Ethan Jeff Hall, and he's charging after them. Macaulay Bishop wants a piece of this victory fight. Brilliant work. So Keeble leads away, Phillips in 2nd, then it's Neate. 3rd is Brandon Carr, 4th is Brandon Carr, behind Aidan Neate. Sonny Smith still in 5th position, having led initially, and is now a couple of kart lengths back off the top 4. But the more they squabble, the more likely he is to get into the battle. So here they come, sweeping through the Mike Wilson complex. And Harley Keeble's lead is getting smaller all the time as Vinnie Phillips and Aidan Neate are chomping at the bit, trying to close him down over the line. And it's these 4 well and truly clear. Sonny Smith in 5th position. Fastest lap of the race, though, Macaulay Bishop. He's done a 1:08.08. A fantastic lap. He's half a second quicker than the race leader. Macaulay Bishop absolutely sauntering after these 5. The pressure's off him because he's a privateer. Not all the focus is on him, and he's absolutely romping to these 5. But look, Vinnie Phillips has caught up with Harley Keeble now. So the lead is going to be disputed very shortly indeed. 1.5 minutes to go plus the additional lap. Aidan Neate now on the back of his teammate Vinnie Phillips to assist him in gaining ground. And so it's 4 of them. Keeble, Phillips, Neate, Carr. Smith is a couple of kart lengths back. And catching them all the time is Macaulay Bishop. Phillips goes for the lead. Phillips takes it into the chicane, so he's up on the inside of the left-hander and hits the front. Vinnie Phillips leads. Neate is now going for 2nd at Bobby Game. Has he made that stick? Yes, he has. And through to 3rd has come Brandon Carr. So Keeble down to 4th. Wow, brilliant racing. Smith has now come onto the back of the queue in 5th position, and Bishop is only 3 kart lengths back or so. And there's a great lead battle chopping across for 6th place now as well. They're for 7th backwards, sorry. That's Jeff Hall, O'Grady, Robinson, Clark. They're having a terrific squabble. Werrell is in the mix there as well. Then it is the 36 of Zach Knight from Bird and Bacchini. Bacchini having a great squabble with Will Knight. Chops across him, Will Knight on the curbs. Bacchini holds the position. So now it's 1 and 2 for the Fusion pair. Vinnie Phillips in front of Aidan Neate, Brandon Carr and Harley Keeble, 3rd and 4th. Sonny Smith is in 5th position. The Fusion pair have broken to the front. The roles are reversed from the previous heat as Alex O'Grady makes the move for P7 on Ethan Jeff Hall. Gets the move nicely, chops across, and then the teammate, Leo Robinson, is trying to come through. It's going to be 3 wide in the braking zone. Robin chops across up the middle of both of them and gets the place. O'Grady takes to the runoff area, but manages to get the traction. And thanks to a move up the inside from Archie Clark on Jeff Hall that doesn't quite work, he has to tuck in front of Lewis Werrell. That battle is going to continue. But it's Phillips and Neat as they approach the final corners of the race. Final corners of the lap, I should say, because they're going on to the last lap of the race now. Last lap board is shown, and it's going to be 5 drivers in the fight for victory. Vinnie Phillips leads his teammate Aidan Neat. Then Kart, Keeble and Smith for the Oliver Rowland Motorsport squad. 3rd, 4th and 5th. Bishop is in within spitting distance as well. Round the hairpin. First big move as Aidan Neat has to move to cover an overtake from Brandon Kart. They come off the bridge, and the 5 of them drop down the hill. Vinnie Phillips moves to the middle of the circuit. Aidan Neat tucks in behind. It looks as though Keeble's going to get some assistance from Carr, who banzais on the inside line, drifts out wide and holds up Aidan Neat, and through come Keeble and Smith to 2nd and 3rd. And now Phillips is going to have to hold on to the inside line. Smith dives for the inside, doesn't get there, and Phillips is given a free pass into the lead of the race. Keeble is now 2nd. Carr is going to come 3rd round the outside. Macaulay Bishop is up into 5th place past Aidan Neat. Bishop is in the hunt for the podium now. They go through the top end of the course, up towards Mike Wilson Complex. Bishop may get a bit of an opportunity here as the 2 karts in front continue to battle. Sonny Smith on the back of Brandon Carr, but out to the final turn, and it's going to be Vinnie Phillips in a drag race with Harley Keeble to the victory dais across the line, and it's Phillips. Phillips gets there in front of the 9 of Harley Keeble from Brandon Carr, Sonny Smith and Macaulay Bishop. Aidan Neat in 6th position. Robinson, O'Grady, Jeff Hall and Clark finish off the top 10. From Lewis Werrell, Zach ahead of Will Knight, and then Lewis Bird from Mason Rudman, Kian Geraghty and Eden Spanswick, Kai Bacchini, Ewan Downing and Fraser Anderson from Ben Smith, Dan Sofronea and Jack Cunningham, with Newman Chi, of course, out of the race at the start. But what a dramatic race it has turned out to be at the front end of the field. Vinnie Phillips managing to hang on in front of Harley Keeble, Brandon Carr and Sonny Smith, and the ever-impressive Macaulay Bishop breaking the deadlock in the top 6. Goodness me, that boy has absolutely no limit. Brilliant stuff. And he keeps on finding that pace. So there's going to be a bit of an upset here if these 2 teams continue their rivalry and are not looking in their rear view. Is this kid's going to spoil the party if they're not careful? Brilliant race, though. And Vinnie Phillips and Harley Keeble at the top end. Brandon Carr in 3rd. From Smith, Bishop and Aidan Neat. Then Robinson, O'Grady, Ethan Jeff Hall and Archie Clark rounding out the top 10. Very competitive at that sharp end in IAME Cadet. It keeps getting better as the weekends progress. So we're going to see a lot more from them a little bit later on. IAME Cadet will return at about 2:15. 2 o'clock actually. It's just coming up to 1 o'clock here local time. But there's going to be a few more heats to come before we get them back on track again. But IAME Cadet definitely giving us a bit of a spoiler in terms of some amazing race action. Lots of good battles out on circuit. IAME Cadet continuing to be ever impressive. So there's more action where that came from. Lots of good race action to come. And great to see that the drivers are all standing up and paying attention and putting on a good show. Rather sad for the Chinese driver, Newman Chi, to bring his kart back into the pits before the race even started. That's a real shame for him, and hopefully we'll see more of the Newman Chi we wanted to see at full throttle out on circuit. A bit of an unfortunate start to the day for him, but no doubt the Chinese star will be back and ready in time for the 3rd IAME Cadet heat, which will be at 2 o'clock today, and will be their last race before we get to the repecharges a little bit later on. So the drivers are now gearing themselves up ready for the next race, which is going to be for Junior X30, and it will be Group A versus D. That's qualifying Group A versus qualifying Group D. With so many drivers in the grid, they have to be split up into 4 qualifying groups and then spread out and segregated across the various heats as they run in together. So Junior X30 will be up next as Group A goes up against Group D, and they will battle away for position with the drivers all expecting a really strong race. But we'll see some good racing from each of the categories over the course of the day. We've already had some pretty stellar races from Junior X30. 2 very exciting battles. And the 3rd one is going to give us just as much to talk about. From the earlier heat, it was Josh Rowledge who came through from the victory, with Oliver Gray and Alex Lee. From Tom Edgar, Oliver Behrman and Georgi Dimitrov in the top 6. In the second heat, it was Alessandro Serenetti, the reigning Winter Series champion, who clinched that title last week in front of his teammate Sam Shaw for a 1-2 for the BKC squad. And then Ivan Lomliev, Caden McQueen, Aaron Walker and Josh McLean in the top 6. So it's already very competitive. Not necessarily all of the orders that we expected we were going to see from this one. And for Joe Taylor, who took a good opportunity for victory in the first race and ended up sadly down in 11th position with a front fairing penalty, now has another chance for redemption as he's there on the front row of the grid with Sam Shaw. Here they go again. They'll head out onto the circuit and it's time to go racing once again. But first of all, I'll talk you through the grid of this heat. Joe Taylor and Sam Shaw on the front row of the grid from Josh Rowledge and Caden McQueen. In the third row, it is Georgi Dimitrov and Rashan Chigarimbo from Reggie Dewey and Jamie Mead. Then Wilgert Edqvist is there with Oliver Duffel from Tom Edgar and Alessandro Saranetti. Then it's Oliver Behrman and Harry Cottrell, Dylan Hodgkin and Tom Leben from Will Murdoch and Josh McLean, Marcus Littlewood and Sam Heading. From Sam Hawthorne, Aaron J. Walker, Darryl Taylor, Harvey Ryby and Oscar Joyce. As the drivers get themselves up to speed, they're obviously warming up the tyres and the brakes. They need to make sure everything about the kart is ready for the off because they don't have a lot of time to play with. The clouds start to sweep in over the circuit as the drivers continue their charge forward. It's always going to be a really exciting race battle. A really exciting battle is in the offing here as the drivers are ready for a strong run. But Junior X30 always gets ultra competitive, and with so much at stake, they're always going to find a really exciting charge forward. So let's see what happens as the drivers are now prepared for the action in the blocks. Taylor, Shaw, Rowledge, McQueen, Dimitrov, Chigarimbo, Dewey, Mead, Edqvist and Duffel. And it's a clean start. Let's go racing again. Up to the first corner, no problem at all for the inside line as it's Taylor, Rowledge and Dimitrov who get the jump. Shaw in 4th position, somebody over the curbs and over the grass at the first chicane, but essentially everybody able to get through the first sweeping hairpin as they go over the bridge. Looks like a fast charging Reggie Dewey and Alessandro Serenetti, both trying to charge their way to come through. Shaw down to 5th position behind Rashan Chigarimbo. Dewey's now up at his 6th position. It's getting quite tricky under the brakes for the first hairpin in the midfield. Several drivers making a play of it. And on the grass, briefly, Oliver Behrman able to make up ground despite being forced onto the grass. Joe Taylor leads the way from Rowledge. Then Dimitrov. Chigarimbo squeezing Shaw. Decides to bail down. Chigarimbo into 4th position from Sam Shaw. This is a resurgent effort from Rashan Chigarimbo, considering that they almost gave up karting a few months ago and decided essentially to have another crack at it for 2019. And here he is, up at the sharp end in junior. Absolutely brilliant, considering he was a Mini X30 driver last year. This has vindicated the decision for me for Rashan Chigarimbo to continue. Josh Rowledge up the inside and takes the lead from Joe Taylor into turn 1. Nicely done. So it's Rowledge who leads from Taylor, Dimitrov, Chigarimbo, Shaw, Dewey, Serenetti. Again, a massive first lap from Serenetti as Chigarimbo makes the move for 3rd on Dimitrov and gets through. And Taylor gets back into the lead on Josh Rowledge on turn 5. Down the back straight. Chigarimbo now has a chance to go for the lead. Oh, a lot of nudging down into the braking zone as Chigarimbo tried to help Rowledge, and then they all started braking and there was nudging and bumping and boring all over the shop. Chigarimbo through to 3rd position. Sam Shaw able to avoid it and gets up into 4th place past Dimitrov. Now makes the move on the inside of Chigarimbo for 3rd. Very controlled driving for Sam Shaw. Chigarimbo tries to cut back on the inside and he's going to lose out massively, Sam Shaw, as through also goes Serenetti and Reggie Dewey. So Shaw sadly will go down to at least 7th, possibly 8th position. Make that 7th, in fact, as he manages to stop the ball in front of Oliver Behrman and Wilgert Edqvist. So it's Taylor and Rowledge. Then a bit of a gap back, about 4/10 to Chigarimbo, Dimitrov and Serenetti. As up the inside, that's a move from Behrman on Sam Shaw. And he is going to get through, but he's lost ground. But to Caden McQueen, who's got past both of them. So Caden McQueen's cut past both. My apologies. No, Caden McQueen yes, he is in front of both of them. So I was right the first time. As a big dive at the inside on Chigarimbo. For 3rd comes Dimitrov and Serenetti and Dewey. As onto the grass goes Chigarimbo. McQueen tries to come around the outside. Behrman dives past them both. That's a brilliant opportunistic move from Behrman. And into P6 goes the young man from Chelmsford in Essex. A brilliant run from Oliver Behrman. Wow, fantastic bit of do or die maneuvering. He found the gap and sliced his way through. Opportunistic as you like, but this kid is so good at finding the space. They come off the final chicane, and it's Taylor versus Rowledge, two of the best at this craft in Junior X30. Joe Taylor, Josh Rowledge. Position is now Dimitrov in front of Serenetti. Serenetti charging his way back through the field, deciding he's got as far as fourth. Third is Dimitrov. He's going to work with the Bulgarian to charge his way up the order if he can. So down the back straight. A very good run this as Behrman gets a little bit wide off the bridge. McQueen is going to get through. Is McQueen going to be joined at the moment by Tom Edgar? Tom Edgar, the Northern Irishman, tries to cut through as he bangs wheels with Oliver Behrman. They roll off the brakes, back onto the power, and Behrman sorts out Edgar in the second hairpin and gets through in front of Tom Leben and Rashan Chigarimbo, who has fallen down to about 9th position, I think that is, for Chigarimbo. Make that 10th, actually, because Tom Leben has got through as well. So onto the far side of the Wilson complex, and it's still Taylor versus Rowledge. Up to third now has come Serenetti, and fourth is Dewey. So they've both got past Dimitrov. But I have a feeling that Dewey and Serenetti are now going to work in tandem to try and close up on Taylor and Rowledge. With some support from Dimitrov, that will work very fast for them. Sam Shaw is 6th in front of McQueen, Tom Edgar, Behrman and... Leben and Behrman. Chigarimbo now 11th in front of Jamie Mead and Oliver Duffel. They go through on the far side. What a squabble there still is. Just behind Oliver Duffel, you've got Hodgkin, McLean, Murdoch, Taylor, Edqvist, Littlewood, Edding, all in that little squabble of karts. And they are all still jockeying for position as Wilgert Edqvist runs out of road, courtesy of a nice move there from the 12 of Marcus Littlewood. Littlewood back on the inside, trying to chop across the 93 of Murdoch, and he's made the move stick. Great bit of driving from Butterworth. He's really made that light work as, a late lunge on the inside from Harry Cottrell doesn't work on Sam Hawthorne as he battles away. And at the back of that grid as well, you've got Oscar Joyce still jockeying at the front of the field and towards the back. There is still massive battles going on all through the field as Dewey has got through on Serenetti on that lap too. So Dewey into third, past Serenetti. So those two are now warring over third position. But they're working together thanks to a bit of extra support from Georgi Dimitrov to close in on these two up front. The gap they had is nowhere near as big as it was. Fastest lap of the race from Caden McQueen, who is edging ever closer in 6th position, trying to close up on the gap with some support from Sam Shaw. Tom Edgar is 8th, Leben is 9th, and in 10th place is Josh McLean now in front of Chigarimbo and Behrman. But Josh Rowledge is going to make his move up the inside of Joe Taylor in the chicane, and he gets there. Now, that's definitely going to hold up Joe Taylor, and that's perfect timing for Dewey and Serenetti, who are going to close right up on the pair of them as a result of that move. That's definitely helped out Rowledge. It's a big problem for Joe Taylor, who's got to try and hang on in front of the fast-charging Reggie Dewey and Alessandro Serenetti in 3rd and 4th place. Down the main straight they go, into the first chicane. Under the Litchfield Bridge. Is there going to be a big bold move? There is. It's Josh Rowledge to cover Joe Taylor, but Joe Taylor's going to get back on the inside line and get through. Dewey through, Serenetti through. That's backfired on Josh Rowledge, big style. So Joe Taylor through to the lead. Dewey 2nd, Serenetti 3rd. Dewey's going to try and make the move for the lead. In fact, he gestures to Taylor. No, come on, let's work further forward. I want to get away now. So Dewey working with Taylor. Look, Taylor is wagging his finger at Joe Taylor. Come on, we need to get away. We've got Serenetti and Rowledge and all of them together. He's shaking his head. He's shaking his hand at Joe Taylor. Stop looking behind me. Stop defending. If you can't, I'll just go through. And that's exactly what he does at Bobby Game Corner. If you're not going to work with me, I'll just get the lead from you then. Thanks. And through he goes. Up into 2nd goes Alessandro Serenetti. Joe Taylor down to 4th position behind Josh Rowledge now. So across the line, and with 2 laps to go, Reggie Dewey signals to Serenetti, let's work together and get away. And I think Serenetti is smart enough that he's going to take the bait there and work with Reggie Dewey to get away, so that then it essentially becomes a 2-horse race. Where Reggie Dewey, of course, is desperate to get a victory because he needs it after finishing right down at the back after the incident on the last lap of the first race. So he really needs the win. Up on the inside, 2 fusions make the move on Caden McQueen. First Dimitrov, then Tom Edgar. Tom Leben is the next one in the line. Sam Shaw trying to come right round the outside. And Josh McLean is in the mix there as well with Rashan Chigarimbo. Shaw to the inside of Tom Leben. Oh, he just makes that one work. Beautiful from Sam Shaw. But now Josh McLean is getting in there with Tom Leben as they jockey for position, and Josh McLean finishes off the move. Leben then comes from a long, long way back, dives up the inside of the Wilson complex and gets the move. Last lap board is out, and away we go. Dewey into the last lap with Serenetti, who gestures to Dewey. No, I'm not going to take the move yet. We need to get away a bit more first. Half a lap and then let's jockey. Reggie Dewey in second. Reggie Dewey in the lead, Serenetti in second. Serenetti can afford to sit there, though, in second place with a win from earlier on and a second place. Knowing where Reggie Dewey finished earlier on, he doesn't need to win this race at all, does Serenetti. He just needs to stay in second position. Josh Rowledge, though, he's going to be a bit of a problem, and Serenetti knows it, so he looks back. He's going to go for the move on Dewey, and Dewey's not going to let him come through. Serenetti shakes his fist at Reggie Dewey. Dewey is now going to lose the lead to Rowledge. Rowledge gets through. It takes the lead away from Dewey. Dewey's going to come straight back at him. Serenetti is there in the wings just in case. Dewey goes for the move on the inside. And up into the lead chops comes Joe Taylor. Joe Taylor trying to come on the inside of Serenetti. And he's through into third position. Rowledge is going to get through for the lead, though. Rowledge is going to come through. Dewey and Taylor are charging their way forward. Serenetti won't be happy. But it's a victory for Rowledge in front of Dewey, Taylor, Serenetti and Dimitrov. A very exciting battle there. Caden McQueen sixth in front of Sam Shaw, Josh McLean and Dylan Hodgkin. From Rashan Chigarimbo and Oliver Behrman, Will Murdoch and Tom Leben. Then Darrell Taylor, Tom Edgar in seventh place behind McQueen. Then it is Sam Shaw, Josh McLean, Dylan Hodgkin and Rashan Chigarimbo 11th from Oliver Behrman, Will Murdoch, Tom Leben, Darrell Taylor and Oliver Duffel. Sam Henning, Wilger Edfis, Jamie Mead and Harvey Ryby round out the top 20. From Oscar Joyce, Sam Hawthorne, Harry Cottrell and Aaron J. Walker. With the only retirement, Marcus Littlewood, 3 laps ago at the Mike Wilson complex. We think because of an incident. So, a very exciting battle yet again. But Josh Rowledge taking the victory in front of Reggie Dewey. Some absolutely spectacular racing. We knew it was always going to be very tough in this category. It always will be. But a really exciting battle. This is going to be absolutely sensational. And hopefully it's just going to continue from this moment on, as the drivers will obviously want to continue things further forward. But they're never going to have it easy, that is for certain. It was always going to be a very tough race action all the way through. But again, we now have some really exceptional challenges for the drivers as they work their way forward. So we need to see now, essentially, what happens from this moment on, because it's always going to be a very exciting battle. So we'll have to see how that works out. But we'll see how it all plays out. I'm not entirely sure who's going to get a potential post-race issue there, because there could be several of them who end up having a bit of a difficulty there. We'll have to see how that transpires, because it's not clear-cut how that one's going to work out. There was only one warning flag in that race, and that was the 93 of Will Murdoch, who got basically a ticking off there for something. I'm not entirely sure what it was, but certainly was given a warning. And with a lot of toing and froing in that race, a lot of fisticuffs, it's quite clear that everybody in this Junior X30 battle wants to have a really strong first race of the season. The clouds are coming in fairly quickly now, which makes me want to revert back to the Met Office. The weather forecast, when I looked at it this morning, said that it was going to remain clear all the way through the day. But those clouds are coming in a lot thicker and quicker than I thought they would do. Although the Met Office still says no chance of rain, really. So they basically say it's a less than 5% chance of rain for the rest of the day. So that's good news. And it's going to remain that way through until about midday tomorrow, when even then there's a 10% chance of rain for the rest of the day's action. So I think we're going to be dry all through the weekend, according to the Met Office, which is very good news. Although some people say, I think it's going to come down. In fact, it may even already be coming down. We're getting a little bit of spitting potentially out there on the circuit by the look of it. We'll have to see how that transpires. Of course, in this circuit, if it starts drizzling even the slightest bit, the racetrack becomes like an ice rink, and the drivers out there and the karts, it's basically like Bambi on ice. You're sliding around all over the place, trying to get some grip. and nobody is really able to get any. So it basically works out to the quicker-witted drivers to be able to deal with the situation in the best way possible, but it's never as straightforward as that. So we'll have to see how that always transpires. But obviously, a very exciting and very intense first race battle second race battle, I should say, for those drivers in Junior X30. There is another group of them about to come out on circuit again as we get to 1:15, ready for our second heat of this group of Junior X30s, and therefore it's the fourth heat of their weekend and the 9th race of the day. If that makes any sense to everybody, I hope I've said it right. Anyway, Charlie Cole and Freddie Spindlow are going to take up residence at the front row of the grid for this one, as the circuit is given the all clear, and the drivers will basically be getting themselves up to speed, warming up the tyres and brakes again, and hoping that everything will be tickety-boo around the PF International circuit. The green flag flies on the top of the gantry. The drivers will head out on track, and we'll go racing yet again in Junior X30 with a second group of drivers as they battle away for supremacy. So let's see how it all goes from here as we go through for the starting grid. It is Charlie Cole and Freddie Spindlow on the front of the grid from Archie Walker and Alex Lee, Mikai Singh and Douglas Bolger from Dan Butterworth and Oliver Gray. Kalai Atkins and Blake Anglis are in the top 10 from Aaron Reshepi and Tyler Reed. Then James Walker and Zach Meakin, Aaron Walker and Max Meir from Ivan Lomliev and JB Sleater, Ben Jenkins and Kasper Skuza from Drew Davidson, Chris Harnan, Jacob McComb and Alex Moody. It won't be easy, they all know that. And for Charlie Cole, the pressure is high on the inside line after a fantastic qualifying session earlier to put him right up at the sharp end. He deserves his place there, but it's hanging on to it that's always a really tricky task, and everybody knows just what's at stake. It will always be very difficult as the competitors are lining up, hopefully in a clean start to get us underway. The drivers all there in position. In the two tram lines, they will have to come up the grid. And obviously, once they've come up the grid, they obviously then line themselves up neatly in the tram lines. Anybody gets out of those positions in the tram lines before, depending on how clean the start is, we either false start it or they get a penalty afterwards. We'll wait and see what happens as the drivers come off the final turn. And it's Cole, Spindlow, Walker, Lee, Singh, Bolger, Butterworth, Gray. Perfect start, away we go. And it's Spindlow who gets the better start. In fact, Charlie Cole may even struggle to get second place. Oh, and a spin through to turn one. That's Chris Harnan. Chris Harnan, the Dutchman, spins around through turn one, manages to get the kart going again. But that was a scary moment for definite. So now they come through and over the top of the bridge, and it's Spindlow who leads it from Charlie Cole. Archie Walker has slipped to 5th position now behind Douglas Bolger in 3rd, and in 4th place that looks like Alex Lee, the Coles driver. Oh, it's a bit of a squabble down to the first hairpin. They all just about get through without too many dramas, but it's all very tight-knit and very close together. It's not Archie Walker in 4th, it's actually Oliver Gray. Walker is in 6th place, trying to hang on from the drivers in front of him. Trying to hang on to the drivers in front of him, I should say, while also having a bit of an anchor with the drivers behind him getting held up. So some big problems for Archie Walker on the first start. As here they come. Charlie Cole back in the lead. And Douglas Bolger through to 2nd place. So Freddie Spindlow having to settle for 3rd for the moment, with Alex Lee going with him. So Cole, Bolger, Spindlow, Lee, Gray and Anglis. Then Archie Walker. Dan Butterworth goes through on the inside of the first chicane and gets the place into P7. And the number 60, Freddie Spindlow, apparently is under investigation. Now, is that something to do with why he's now down in 5th position? Now, it was 3rd, but now both Alex Lee and Oliver Gray have got through. And in 6th place is Spindlow, because through goes Blake Anglis. Anglis goes through into 5th. So a good move from Blake Anglis, who turned 16 yesterday, of course. So he's having a really good weekend as Spindlow gets back on the inside of him to take that 5th position back. But in 7th now is Butterworth in front of Reed, Archie Walker and Carly Atkins, the Jamaican star, doing a great job there in 10th position as the field now storms its way through to the Mike Wilson complex. Freddie Spindlow back down in 6th position again as Blake Anglis has once more got past him. So Blake Anglis has managed to get himself through into P5 once more. Up to the inside line for the lead. Bolger gets through on Charlie Cole. Bold move from Bolger, and he dives through to the inside. And Alex Lee gets on the inside of Charlie Cole as well. And here comes Oliver Gray up to 3rd position. I was going to say 2nd because he nearly got 2nd there on Alex Lee. But it's Bolger, the Japanese driver, who leads. Not 6 days since he won the Rotax final in the Winter Cup. Up the inside goes Oliver Gray. And into second position on Alex Lee. And Charlie Cole still there in P4 in front of Blake Anglis and Freddie Spindlow. 7th is Butterworth. Then it is the 27 of Reed in front of Carly Atkins and Archie Walker. Then Aaron Walker for Strawberry Racing. And in 12th place, that is James Walker for the Coles Racing team. Sorry to be so confusing, but there really are so many drivers in the field with the same surname. So through they come out of the Mike Wilson complex. And to make that situation even more confusing, none of the Walkers are actually related to each other. Down the main straight. And it's Bolger who leads. Gray second, Lee third, Cole fourth. Then it's Anglis and Spindlow from Butterworth, Reed, Atkins and the Walkers. Archie, Aaron and James. From Zach Meakin in 13th, JP Slater. Then Kasper Skuza, Lomliev, Reshepi, Singh, Meir, McComb, Davidson, Moody, Jenkins and Harnan, who is slowly now gaining the ground further back. Here comes the move for the lead from Oliver Gray. He gets through up to the inside line and bags second place and then bags the lead from Alex Lee in second. Bolger now third, so Alex Lee got through as well on Bolger. Here comes Charlie Cole. He's making his move up the inside of Douglas Bolger to get the lead. And Bolger absolutely resolute, not going to let Charlie Cole through. They nearly spit off each other. There was contact. They bang wheels, but Charlie Cole manages to draw his line in the sand and gets through in a third position. Fantastic performance there from Charlie Cole. Not about to be intimidated. But Douglas Bolger working hard to keep that position, but he can get hit back. There's still plenty of time. Under 4 minutes. Oliver Gray, Alex Lee, Charlie Cole from Bolger, Anglis, Spindlow, Reed, Butterworth, Atkins and Aaron Walker. As the field storms its way through under the Litchfield Bridge once again. Still a good battle from Charlie Cole, but Douglas Bolger's now got some support up the inside. He gets through. Nice move from Douglas Bolger over the bridge into the right square. And adds 3 wide as Spindlow is going to pick off both Anglis and Charlie Cole and gets through into P4. That's a great move from Spindlow. Now Cole and Anglis are left to go together as up the inside goes Reed, goes Butterworth, goes Atkins and Walker. For Anglis, it's heartbreak. Anglis has lost 4 places in one go there, courtesy of his battle with Charlie Cole. Tyler Reed on the inside opens a door wide enough for 4 of them to get through, not just one. But a really tense battle, that is. And unfortunately, it's not worked out in his favour at all for Blake Anglis. But out in front, it is this man, Oliver Gray, battling away with Alex Lee. And in third position, it is Douglas Bolger. Alex Lee swarming around behind Oliver Gray for the lead of the race as Moody gets through on the inside of Archie Walker. But for Alex Lee, there's a real opportunity to go for the victory now as he runs in behind our race leader, Oliver Gray. But Alex Lee looking good for a victory if he can find a way past Oliver Gray in what is already turning out to be quite an incredible month for his main sponsor, or one of his main sponsors, I should say, the Trade Price Cars racing team, who last week in British Touring Cars got their first podium on their first race attempt. So Alex Lee getting a top 3 would just continue their bandwagon rolling nicely. And he is looking for it. Oliver Gray trying to hold the inside line. Gray hanging on, but Alex Lee all over the back of Gray as they go through to the Mike Wilson complex. Not able to get through first. There's been a massive jostle in the top 6 as well, as we've now got Spindlow to 3rd place in front of Bolger. And then it is in 4th position. But in 5th place it is now Reed. Then Butterworth. Then Atkins. Then it's Walker. Where's Charlie Cole? Well, he's down in 9th now ahead of Anglis, Meakin, Lomliev and James Walker from Kasper Skuza and JP Slater. Archie Walker's had a nightmare race. He's gone backwards down to 20th. He must have some kind of problem. He's not at that speed normally, so he's had all sorts of difficulties. But there's a bit of an issue now for Oliver Gray. He's got to be in defensive mode from Alex Lee. All sorts of problems as the drivers continue their charge forward. Down to the stretch to the chicane. Alex Lee still with Oliver Gray. Spindlow in 3rd. 4th position, Douglas Bolger, the Japanese driver, still going great guns. Onto the far straight, through the right at Bobby Game, and up towards the long flowing hairpin at the Mike Wilson complex. They come off and into the left, very up close to the barriers there, and then they spit through the chicane, through the left and through the right, down the main straight again. Alex Lee giving Oliver Gray plenty to think about as they battle for the lead of the race with 44 seconds to go as they cross the line, and that's enough for just 2 more laps. So it will be a very strong challenge from these two as they come off onto the bridge again, and up the inside. That's a big move from Tyler Reed. Tyler Reed gets the move on Douglas Bolger into 4th position. And that's given Freddie Spinlow a little bit of breathing space. Here comes Kalai Atkins. Kalai Atkins in the move into 5th position. The Jamaican storms past the Japanese. And a really good move between those two as they continue to battle for 5th position. Here comes Aaron Walker for Strawberry Racing ahead of Dan Butterworth. And they are challenging away onto the back now of Douglas Bolger. But Alex Lee is still waiting for his moment on Oliver Gray. Goes up towards the Mike Wilson complex. He's not going to go for it there. He's still got a lap to do this. But the challenge is going to be very intensive. 32 has got a warning flag for something. Not entirely sure what that's for. But the warning flag has come out as they go into the last lap. And that obviously is directed at Jacob McComb, the racing driver on the RS kart. But into the last lap, Oliver Gray still hanging on with Alex Lay alongside him. And Freddie Spinlow's going to get an opportunity in the 2nd position. Alex Lay through to the 1st. So Alex Lee leads it. Freddie Spinlow 2nd. Gray down to 3rd. And here comes Tyler Reid. Tyler Reid is now right on the back of them as Gray works with Spinlow. Now tries to cut round the outside of the Chaos Sport driver. Has to fall back as Tyler Reid gets past both of them. Reid into 2nd place. Gray now chopping right round the outside of Freddie Spinlow and cuts in a 3rd position. Great move from Oliver Gray. Karli Atkins has now joined the back of the fray in 5th position as Butterworth moves into 6th past Douglas Bolger. But Alex Lee made his move at exactly the right moment and has pulled away. So the Coles Racing driver timed it to perfection as he leaves them squabbling for 2nd. Oliver Gray still trying to break into 2nd place past Tyler Reid. But it's Alex Lee. He gets the victory in fine style. Tyler Reid hangs on the 2nd in front of Oliver Gray. And Karli Atkins comes home in 4th. The Jamaican putting on a fantastic show. 5th place for Spinlow. 6th for Butterworth. And 7th for Douglas Bolger, with Aaron Walker in 8th place ahead of Ivan Lomliev and James Walker. But what a try from Alex Lee. He really made that one count. Great bit of driving. And that's a big moment in the youngster's career. To get a heat victory against a field of this caliber in the British Championship, that is a big, big moment. And he's going to really remember that one. So that is all of the heats completed in Junior X30. The repechage will be the first race after the break. That is the B final, if you will. And it'll be a handful of drivers from that race that cross the line ahead that are booked into the final a little bit later on. But what a sensational set of races. And we have 4 different winners from those first 4 Junior X30 races of the season. Always great when it's that even. Josh Rowledge taking race 1. Alessandro Serenetti winning race 2. Josh Rowledge again actually coming through to get the victory in race 2. So I apologise. I thought it was 4 different winners. It's actually 3 different winners because the fourth race was won by the 3rd different winner, Alex Lee. But now we get ourselves ready for the next 2 heats, which are Senior X30, races 3 and 4 for them, heat 3 and 4. And after the battles we had earlier on in Senior X30, we are sure to have some great racing from them again. The first race taken by Gus Lawrence ahead of Elliot Harvey and Teddy Pritchard-Williams. And then, of course, in Heat 2, Clayton Ravenscroft in front of Oliver Hodgson and Mark Kimber. So there were some penalties to hand out for the earlier race, Senior X30. It was Lewis Gilbert who got a front-fairing penalty, despite also setting the fastest lap of the race. Sean Butcher and Alex Lloyd also got the same penalty handed out. So it promoted Teddy Pritchard-Williams to 3rd in front of Thomas Turner, Axel Laflamme and Nelson King in the top 6, just a whisker ahead of Derek Morgan and the Peruvian Mateus Zagazeta. Gilbert demoted to 9th ahead of Matthew Hudson. That was Heat 1, of course. Heat 2 saw Clayton Ravenscroft grab a victory from Oliver Hodgson and Mark Kimber. The top 6 remaining unchanged from Louis Westover, Cole Kilner and Luke Whitehead. This 3rd heat is going to be a very different story, though, because we've got Gus Lawrence and Alex Pendlebury sharing the front row of the grid. Now, Lawrence has a race win under his belt. Pendlebury, for the Persistence Motorsport team, has already had a very strong start to proceedings, but it's not a guarantee as to how it's all going to work out. There's still a long, long way to go in the day. And the drivers obviously want the best possible charge off the field. So this is going to be quite an intensive battle. And they all know what's at stake. They all know what is heading for them over the course of the day. So it is going to get quite intense from here on in. The time is approaching 1:30. And that, of course, takes us towards the Senior X30 heats. And then, of course, there will be an IAME Cadet 3rd and final heat. And then we'll have the second race for Mini X30. Then we'll take our lunch break. And then that is when we'll go into the repêchages for junior, senior, and IAME cadet. And then we'll have our finals for Mini X30, Junior X30, Senior X30, and IAME Cadet in that order. And it will be trophies for the top 3 in each category. The British Championships for Motorsport UK's 2019 British Kart Championships here at IAME's classes for the Mini, Junior, Senior, and IAME Cadet categories at PF International are giving us a fantastic show for the first round of the championship. Jake Sanson with you here on the main straight at PF International near Grantham in Lincolnshire. And despite the cloudy weather we've got overhead, there is still plenty of sunlight to give us plenty of great entertainment and action. The circuit is dry, but obviously it is still very cold indeed, and it's a tricky situation that meets the drivers here this weekend. Air temperature about 12 degrees Celsius, so the track temperature is only going to be about 14 degrees Celsius maximum. And it's going to make things very entertaining out there for the competitors. They know what's coming over the course of the day. And for the Senior X30s, we've already had quite a few tough battles. There's going to be at least one more as the green flag flies at the top of the gantry and the drivers are sent out. Let's talk you through in detail the grid for this third heat of the day for Senior X30 and race 10 on our championship bill. Gus Lawrence and Alex Pendlebury on the front row of the grid from Elliot Harvey and Mark Kimber. Jensen Brown and Louis Westover are next from Jack Gordon and Rory Hudson. Then Thomas Turner and Charles Lamb from Tom Nippers and Archie Tillett. Maurice Luis and Lewis Malin from Alexander Wang and Matt Armstrong. Eduardo Cosseteng and Harry Barlow from Rufus Hunt and Roman LaRue. Alex Lloyd and Josh Graham. Abigail Ross and Callum Driscoll. Then Alexander Patterson and Caroline Candas. So the racers are battling away together in this PF International grid. And it's obviously a tough job to get themselves warmed up in terms of tyres and brakes. They need to make sure that the engine's running to the best it needs to be for the start. You don't push it too hard, but you just get it dialed in so that it's the right temperature, ready for a race start. We've had some hectic race starts, but in essence, they've been relatively clean from the go. So the drivers are obviously keeping things very smart. So far, only the one false start, which is pretty good going, actually, considering how tough things have been on the run to the first corner. And that shows that the drivers are starting to get the hang of things, but well regulated by all the officials and stewards and the marshals, of course, working very hard around the circuit as per usual. So we're getting ready again for the start. It's Lawrence and Pendlebury, Harvey and Kimber, Brown, Westover, Gordon, Hudson, Turner, Lamb. Let's race! Perfect start from Pendlebury. He chops right across from the outside line and gets into the lead through the first chicane. And that is a perfect start for Pendlebury. Nothing Lawrence can do about that one initially. He guides the kart round the outside. Kimber is through into third position early doors as well, with Elliot Harvey dropping to fourth. So Kimber is going to be the man on the attack of the Viva Motorsport driver in second place. Harvey decides to work with Kimber briefly, but then goes for the move. Kimber chops across and stops the move. And now side by side, Pendlebury trying to hang on in front of Lawrence. To the inside line, he holds the kart. He'll drift the kart out wide. Lawrence knows there's a chance to get through. Pendlebury holds on to the lead, though, as up the inside for fourth position. There's a big change. Now, that is going to be Jensen Brown on Elliot Harvey, I do believe. So Jensen Brown, I think, has made the move on his teammate to move up into fourth position. They go through the left, squirting on the throttle as they come through the chicane, and Pendlebury hanging on in front of Lawrence and Mark Kimber. Kimber's going to be one to watch here, the reigning European champion, as Lawrence dives for the inside of the chicane and takes the place away from Pendlebury. Kimber's going to have a look to come through maybe as well under the Litchfield Bridge. He thinks better of it and hangs back, but I think it's not going to be long. Here he goes into turn 4. Over the bridge they go, and into the second place goes Mark Kimber, right onto the back of Gus Lawrence early doors. He wants a victory and knows he can get one, as Alex Pendlebury is apparently under investigation. Now, the question is what for, because there could be a multiple amount of things that he could be under investigation for at this point. It could even be, did he move a little bit too early on the run to the first corner? The race was released, but did he run a little bit too early? It's being investigated on the cameras at the moment, I'm being told. So, or something is certainly for Alex Pendlebury. We'll figure out what it is that's happening. But out in front, it is Lawrence, Kimber and Pendlebury, third position. Then behind them, it's the two DHR karts of Westover and Harvey. So it's Westover that's made the hard charge through the field. Then Charlie Lamb in front of Thomas Turner and Rory Hudson. Then Jensen Brown and Jack Gordon from Tillett, Armstrong, Malin, Nippers, Morris Lewis, Gosseteng, Lloyd, Barlow, Driscoll, Ross and Patterson. From Gandas, Hunt, Wang, LaRue and Graham. So down the back straight, a few very strong chances to move forward. Westover is the fastest man on track, having moved his way to 4th position. And here's the chance to move up the inside into 3rd position past Pendlebury, and he's through. Westover into 3rd position then. And Pendlebury trying to cut back across, but Westover's well and truly sorted for it as Kimber now dials in behind Gus Lawrence. So Kimber is all over the back of Gus Lawrence to make the move on the inside. He can't find a place to go by up at the Mike Wilson complex. So they go back into the chicane once more. And no matter what the V Motorsport driver does, Mark Kimber is still all over the back of him. So they come through once more. A really tough battle in the offing as they continue to challenge round the outside of the hairpin. There could be an opportunity to come through into the lead, but no, Kimber's held Gus Lawrence, well at bay. So Lawrence is your leader, Kimber 2nd, 3rd. It is still the DHR kart of Westover. Having got through, Kimber's now going to make the lunge for the lead, and Westover's going to be given enough space to come by as well, but Lawrence gets back on the power very quickly, stops the attack from Westover, and now charges forward. Pendlebury is able to get a jump on the hesitant Westover. Westover chops across on Pendlebury, a little flick of the front fairing. I don't think that's going to cause a penalty for Pendlebury, but a very interesting challenge nonetheless, as the drivers continue to jockey for position at the far side of the circuit. So they continue to come off the corner into the final chicane and down the main straight. Mark Kimber, reigning European champion, leads the way as they go through the S's. Under the bridge, and that's a big move from Gus Lawrence to come back on Kimber into turn 3. And he's not going to be the only one to get there, as through to 2nd position goes Westover, nearly to the lead, but he runs wide. And that's through from Pendlebury, Kimber, Harvey, Turner, and Charlie Lamb. They all get through. I think Westover, his eyes were bigger than his stomach there. He was having a go at not only Kimber, but also Lawrence, and that's caused pandemonium as now Westover goes back down to the back of the queue. So he just got a little bit too eager, and Charlie Lamb now cuts back across on front of him to retain that 6th position spot. What this has ultimately done, though, is it's given Gus Lawrence a fairly sizable lead over the rest of the field now. He's got a big gap, and that's going to be about a second as they come across the line this time by. So it's not going to be particularly easy for the other drivers to cope with as they come down the main straight. A good run from Lawrence, Kimber, Harvey, Turner, Lamb, Pendlebury, Westover and Archie Tillett. From Brown, Hudson, Armstrong, Malin and Gordon. Alex Lloyd is 14th now. From Lewis, Nippers, Gosseteng, Barlow and Driscoll. But now up to 2nd place, that is Harvey. Harvey's made his bid on Kimber and got through into P2 down the back straight. Kimber has an initial look to come back. It's going to get interesting as here comes Archie Tillett up the inside of Westover. Archie Tillett on the inside of Jensen Brown, his teammate. And then Pendlebury trying to hang on in front of the 10 of Rory Hudson. Lewis Malin makes a place or two up on the inside of Matt Armstrong. And then it's Alex Lloyd, the 48. So some good racing all the way through. And it's right down to the back of the field as well. There's some good overtakes coming from them. Caroline Gandas has made a much bigger progress in this race than she did in race 1. So whatever problems they've had, they've managed to fix them. And she's closing down on Abigail Ross. Here come the leaders through. Lawrence, Harvey, Kimber, Turner, Lamb, Westover, Tillett and Brown. It's a big change in the top end with a few drivers falling their way down the order. And it looks as though we've lost Harry Barlow from the fray. He's had an off at the final chicane by the look of things. He's got some kind of mechanical problem by the look of it. What a shame for Harry Barlow. He's looking down to see if there's going to be an issue as Kimber retaliates on Harvey. And Kimber gets through in a 2nd position. Gus Lawrence seems to have a free pass through to the victory. He's got a minute and 25 seconds to be caught, and I'm not sure he's going to be. They go through the chicane, up onto the far side, and that's some bold racing from Caroline Gandas. Gandas has made up about 2 places there in the run of drivers. She's made up some places, and so too is her teammate, Maurice Lewis. So the French contingent for Lynchfield Motorsport, they're both making up some places. Good run from them in the midfield. Harvey is on the back of Kimber, sweeping through the chicane, under the Litchfield Bridge, and round the sweeping hairpin on the far side. Over to the left-hander and into the right as they drop off the Litchfield Bridge and down the back straight. This is an opportunity for Kimber and Harvey down the back straight. Here comes Harvey on the inside of Mark Kimber, and that's a lovely job. And also through on the inside is going to go Thomas Turner. Turner through to third position. Nothing Kimber could do about it. I'm not even sure he realised that Turner was going to be that close, and that drops him to P4. So it is Lawrence leading, Harvey, Turner, Kimber, and then in fifth place is Westover in front of Charlie Lamb and Archie Tillett, then Jensen Brown, Alex Pendlebury and Lewis Malin. So they go through onto the far side of the circuit through the Mike Wilson complex, and Gus Lawrence is seriously close now to getting this race victory wrapped up. He's got just 2 laps to go as he crosses the line, but can they catch him before that? Harvey's got some support now. Turner, Kimber and Westover all know that a victory is still possible to close up on Gus Lawrence, but they need to work together. So Turner is going to get up the inside, is he? No! Elliot Harvey shuts the door. Turner went for the move. I think Thomas Turner thought that maybe it wasn't possible to catch Gus Lawrence, and now the freight train is slowing down, and they're in a race for second position by the look of it as Turner tries to get up the inside. Little bit of a nudge from Westover behind, and Kimber's going to get through into third. Is he? No, he's not. Turner chops back across. Westover around the outside of Kimber, up into fourth position. Now chops across for the far side as Charlie Lamb has a go at Kimber. And Tillett nearly gets nudged off the circuit. Goodness me. It's a proper fisticuff scramble up at the far side of the circuit. But into the last lap comes Gus Lawrence. Their battling has given him a golden run to the victory. And he is well 2, 3, 4 seconds clear now as a result of that. 3.5. Harvey in second place. Turner is third from Westover. Kimber, Lamb, Tillett, Brown, Malin, Hudson, Pendlebury and Alex Lloyd. And they're all in the jostle together. 1.5 seconds between them. They're going to settle their differences out on the bridge. Out in front, Harvey's got the battle. Turner still hanging on to third by a thread from Westover. Onto the far side. Is this going to be a long run from Kimber to come off the power? Back down the short stretch with Lamb in tow. The top 2 are well decided now. Lawrence in front of Harvey. Looks like third is sorted in the favour of Westover as Turner continues to hang on from Kimber. But the battle has been a tough one as now Garland Gandas moves up past their teammate Maurice Lewis in the chicane, and there's going to be a bit of a challenge from Nippers and Ross. But the checkered flag flies for Gus Lawrence, who dominates in the end, grabs a victory once again. A brilliant battle. Harvey is going to come through for second place in front of Louis Westover. And then it is Thomas Turner ahead of Mark Kimber, Charlie Lamb, Lewis Malin, Archie Tillett, Rory Hudson, and rounding out the top 10, making up 11 places in the process, is Alex Lloyd. A very good drive indeed from him, with Matt Armstrong ahead of Jensen Brown and Eduardo Cosateng, Alex Pendlebury and Jack Gordon from Garland Gandas and Maurice Lewis, then Tom Nippers, Abigail Ross, Roman LaRue, Alexander Wang, Alex Patterson from Callum Driscoll, Rufus Hunt, Josh Graham, and the one driver to come home a long way down the order after some problems is Harry Barlow. But all of his problems were mechanical in nature. They certainly weren't of his poor driving. So a real problem for Harry Barlow, but at least he stuck it out there and made it through to the finish line regardless. His fastest lap was in the 59s, a 59.04. Everyone else was in the 58s. So proof really that Barlow was impeded by mechanical problems there. A real shame, but that's motorsport, as he will know. Well, there's another race coming up straight after this one for Senior X30, as obviously we continue our attempts to find out who is going to be on the ultimate pole position for the final and which drivers will not quite have managed to get to that stage and will therefore be put into the repechage. And it will be the first handful of drivers across the finish line in the repechage that will obviously seek us through to the final dais, and we'll get through to the final. But it's always going to be very tough, that race, because obviously nobody really knows who is going to have the upper hand. And it's always quite physical, the repechage as well, because you've obviously got only a handful of drivers who are able to make it through. So you've got to be amongst those drivers crossing the finish line first. Otherwise, you are quite literally nowhere. And it's always been very tricky. So now the drivers have obviously got to get themselves dialed in, ready for another race. This next group of drivers, they would have been watching that one, of course, from the sidelines, and they will take into account who has finished where. They won't be able to do all of the maths quite so quickly on the spot, but they will have a rough idea where they need to finish to get through and to make the progression to come through to the final dais. So it's always going to be a complicated battle. But as far as the drivers are concerned, it's always going to be worth the challenge, and there will be some really exciting battles in this next heat in particular, because for these drivers, this is their last chance, as they know. It's their last chance to come through and get a decent result, so they will be challenging for it. And obviously all of the competitors will want to be at the sharp end. They want to put on a good show, and as a result, they will obviously be on their A game for this last heat before we get to the main event. It's going to be an absolutely a very tough battle indeed for all of the drivers in that particular foray, as they all come through for another top battle. We'll see what happens, but it's always going to be particularly close, and the drivers will want to have a really strong fight. So as the drivers progress, they're obviously going to dial themselves in and wound up the karts, warm up the tyres, get themselves ready for the off. But it will be a very strong fight as the drivers are all carefully progressing now. The drivers are going to be waved out of the pits. They are indeed. And so now it is time, once again, to warm up the tyres and the brakes as they run for the victory in this fourth heat of the day for the Senior X30s. And it's going to be Cole Kilner and Nelson King from the front row of the grid. Clayton Ravenscroft and Lewis Gilbert, former teammates on the second row, from Morgan Porter and Teddy Pritchard-Williams on row 3. Oliver Hodgson and Derek Morgan, and then rounding out the top 10, Luke Whitehead and Axel Laflamme. Thomas Wood and Max Jean from Callum Barnett and Reese Ushijima. Ryan Green and Sean Butcher from Ben Hodge and Matthias Agazeta. Ollie Greetham and Cameron Coombs from Henry Ayers and Matthew Hudson. From Piers Henderson, Lee Chamberlain, Matilda Olsen and Jake Rubio. So as the drivers dial themselves in, this is obviously a high-pressure point of the weekend. For a lot of the drivers, this is their one chance to break out of the B final and move themselves far forward. So we'll see what they're all going to be able to achieve once they come through. It's never an easy task, especially in this first round of laps, because you obviously have to get yourself into a decent position and then hope that everything just kind of rolls off from there. But it was always going to be very, very intense. So here they come again. Kilner, King, Ravenscroft, Gilbert, Porter, Pritchard-Williams. What a clean start. Away we go. And no problem. Oh, big contact in the middle. We've got 4 or 5 carts going off. We've had Gilbert go. Ravenscroft, I think, just about got away with it. But Butcher's gone off the circuit. Gilbert is out of the race. And there's been big contact from a couple of them into the barriers. Gilbert's kart is damaged, and I think he's out of the race. So a big problem. Several karts going off then in the first corner. And we think it's Kilner we think it's King who's not come through. Gilbert, Porter and Pritchard-Williams. So big names at the front end of the field, all getting spat out. And Sean Butcher was involved as well. So King, Gilbert, Porter, Pritchard-Williams and Sean Butcher all spat out of the first corner. Gilbert is out of the race. And so too is Teddy Pritchard-Williams at the first corner. They've both gone. And unfortunately for Lewis Gilbert, he is now getting a medical check because it was a fairly hefty whack from both him and Pritchard-Williams. But the race continues. Ravenscroft leads from Kilner, Hodgson, Whitehead, Morgan, Wood, Laflamme, Barnett, Shijima and Green. But Morgan Porter is out of the race, we're told. In fact, it's not Teddy Pritchard-Williams who's off. It's Morgan Porter who's out of the race, and so too Lewis Gilbert. Not sure what's happened to Nelson King. Has he come around? No, I think Nelson King might be out of the race actually as well. So Porter, we think, has pulled in with damage. So Porter is out, King is out, and Lewis Gilbert is out. 3 of the big names from this weekend. A very nasty accident on the front of the first corner, and with 3 of the big names in this championship. Sean Butcher has returned to the circuit, so too has Teddy Pritchard-Williams, but the other 3, King, Gilbert and Porter, are all out on the spot. And that's a disaster for Nelson King when it was really looking good for him to score big points over the course of these heats. Gilbert likewise. But for Ravenscroft and Kilner, it's a golden opportunity. Hodgson in 3rd place, Morgan is 4th from Wood, Whitehead, Laflamme, Ushijima, Barnett, Green and Zagazeta. Hudson, Greetham, Hodge, Henderson, Jean, Coombs, Olsen, Chamberlain, Ayres, Rubio, and then Pritchard, Williams and Butcher at the back of the field having rejoined. But still Ravenscroft leads the race with a lot of pressure early on from Cole Kilner. So Kilner is trying to break through to the inside line to get the lead. Ravenscroft is keeping the kart just across the line enough that there's not really a way for Kilner to come through. And that's allowing Oliver Hodgson a chance to close up on what is effectively his back garden. He loves it so much around this circuit. He knows all the tricks around this place. A very unhappy Nelson King walking in. Lewis Gilbert getting some attention. We think just for a slight incident there on the exit of the accident. But he did walk to the ambulance for the check, so I don't think it's anything too major. But Ravenscroft is your leader. Kilner now making the move on the way over the bridge, and Kilner goes through in the left-hander. Now doubling down through the right onto the back straight. Ravenscroft runs wide, and Hodgson surely is going to drag race him down to the braking zone for the hairpin, but Ravenscroft outfoxes him. So he's there in second place still. Kilner is your leader. Ravenscroft second from Hodgson, Morgan. Then it is Thomas Wood in front of Reese Ushijima. So some really good battles as they continue to progress. Behind Ushijima, it is Callum Barnett in front of Luke Whitehead and Ryan Green. Then Matthias Zagazeta, although it looks like now Whitehead has actually got through into 7th place over Callum Barnett. Fastest of all in the second sector is the Peruvian, Matthias Zagazeta. They come off the final turn. Big mistake from Kilner. He drifts very wide, and Ravenscroft is going to overtake him into the first corner. He gets the place, no problem. Hodgson is going to try and repeat the move into turn 3. He thinks better of it. Instead, hoping that there's going to be a retaliation into turn 4. There is, but Kilner's reluctant. And Hodgson manages to complete the move. The hesitation causes Kilner a real problem. And Morgan is trying to come through now on Cole Kilner for 3rd position. And Kilner's not having any of it. But that releases Ravenscroft and Hodgson to race out front. Meanwhile, in the battle for 7th place, Whitehead has got all sorts of difficulties with Matthias Zagazeta all over the back of him. And here comes the 70 of Ryan Green, trying to charge through. A bit of a fisticuffs match there with the 25 of Hudson. Green does not give way, and he manages to get through on the inside anyhow. But the 25 of Matthew Hudson, who was up 12 positions up to that point, has had a little bit of a stop sign shown in his face at that point. So down the straight comes Ravenscroft in the lead. Kilner is now in 3rd behind Hodgson. 4th is Morgan. Then it's Reese Ushijima in front of Tom Wood and Callum Barnett. Then Luke Whitehead and Matthias Zagazeta. From Hodge, Greetham, Green, Jean, Henderson, Hudson and Olsen. But massive problems at the start if you've only just joined us. A big pile-up involving Teddy Pritchard-Williams, who has got going and recovered to 18th. Sean Butcher, who is still at the back. And then the 3 out on the spot. Nelson King, Lewis Gilbert and Morgan Porter all wiped out on the run to the first corner. They didn't even get as far as the first apex before all 5 of them went off the circuit. 3 of them never to return. But it is a victory in the offing for the 3-4 drivers up front. It's all going to be a very close battle. Ravenscroft, Hodgson, Kilner, Morgan. All 4 of them have the chance to go for the win now. Fastest of all in the first sector is Derek Morgan as he closes in on the back of the train. And Reese Ushijima, the Japanese driver, is next up. So they come through down the straight. Flying through to the first chicane under the Litchfield Bridge. And this is going beautifully. Round the long hairpin. Keeping a tight line. And getting tucked back in for the Litchfield Bridge over the top of it. And through the right-hander down the back straight. And it's going to be a really strong run for the drivers as they come through to the hairpin. Down into the braking zone. This is going very well indeed for Ravenscroft. Hodgson is close, but not close enough to make the ultimate move yet. And that's where Kilner and Morgan have a bit of an upper hand because they've got Hodgson pretty much lined up. It's all about when Kilner makes the move rather than if he makes the move or if he's going to work with Hodgson to try and squeeze by on Ravenscroft a little bit later on. But when I say a little bit later on, I really do mean we're running short on time because we're only going to have about 1 minute and 5 seconds when Ravenscroft comes across the line. And he will cross the line now. To be precise, it's 1:03. Ravenscroft in front of Kilner and Hodgson. So Kilner's got through in a second, and now Morgan is trying to get through on Hodgson as well. He must have pulled off that move in the Mike Wilson complex, Kilner, because Hodgson was ahead of him on the approach to Bobby Game. But now with Kilner through into second place, it's up to Derek Morgan to try and get the move done for 3rd position on Hodgson sooner rather than later. as Ushijima closes up on them as well in 5th place. Then it is Barnett versus Wood as they squabble over 6th position. But it's always going to be very tight. And we're going to have a very close run to the flag between these three in 3rd, 4th and 5th. Oliver Hodgson, Derek Morgan and Rhys Ushijima. And they're up at the sharp end of the field with all of that melee from earlier on. Butcher has recovered to 22nd. Teddy Pritchard-Williams, incredibly, has moved up to 16th place. So he's absolutely charging his way back through the pack. But as they head into the penultimate lap, he's not going to get as far as he wants to. Now Rhys Ushijima is giving plenty of pressure to Derek Morgan. Contact for 6th position. Oh dear. Somehow they got away with it to Callum Barnett and Tom Wood. That was Wood up the inside for Barnett. And Barnett, I think it was, who pirouetted around. Oh, that was a very scary manoeuvre on the run through the first chicane. And in trouble and out of the race. It looks like Luke Whitehead's got a problem. Luke Whitehead in trouble. So, unfortunately, Barnett, who had the spin, but Whitehead's got a mechanical problem. That's a disaster for Luke Whitehead. This man had so many technical difficulties last year, and now he has tumbled down to the back of the grid. Callum Barnett spinning in turn 1. Whitehead having a massive mechanical problem, and his race is over. What a shame for Luke Whitehead. But the race is going to come to a conclusion with Ravenscroft in the lead. Kilner in 2nd, Hodgson 3rd. 4th is now Ushijima. He's made the move on Derek Morgan. And now the Japanese driver is going to take on the king of PF International, Oliver Hodgson. This is his backyard. He loves racing here. He's driven here for a long time in the PF International colours and knows this place like the back of his hand. Yellow flags up at the chicane, and that is for Luke Whitehead, who's parked his cart. He couldn't quite get it back to the pits. But Ravenscroft leading by a long way. Kilner, Hodgson and Ushijima have all tightened up now for 2nd place. Hodgson has a chance to go for 2nd. Ushijima could grab a top 3 finish, but Kilner's got to hang on in front of both of them for that to happen. He's got to fail to, my apologies, if it's going to happen. And Kilner's doing a grand job. Hodgson there in 3rd position, and I think it's going to remain that way as Ravenscroft takes another victory. A fantastic start to proceedings. 2nd for Kilner, 3rd for Hodgson, 4th for Rhys Ushijima. A brilliant run from the Japanese driver. That's his best race in the UK. Great work from Ushijima. Morgan in 5th, Zagazeta is 6th from Wood and Greetham, then Ryan Green and Piers Henderson from Teddy Pritchard-Williams, who fights all the way back to 11th position. That is astonishing. 12th place for Axel Laflamme in front of Max Jean and Ben Hodge. And then it is Matthew Hudson from Henry Ayres. Sean Butcher fights back to 17th position. Good run from him after Callum Barnett spun in his battle for 6th position. Lee Chamberlain is 19th ahead of Matilda Olsen. Then Cameron Coombs and Jake Rubio. And then the retirements. Luke Whitehead with mechanical problems. And then wiped out on lap 1. Nelson King, Lewis Gilbert and Morgan Porter. Drama aplenty in Senior X30 then. And we always knew it was going to be coming, but at the start of the race to lose big names such as Nelson King, Lewis Gilbert and Morgan Porter all out on the spot is very dramatic indeed. And from what we can tell, I don't think there was any major causes for concern with Lewis Gilbert to check up. Yes, here he is walking back, so I think it was just precautionary checks for Lewis Gilbert, and he is walking in. That is very good news. There might be a slight discomfort to his wrist, we're told, but other than that, the good thing is that after quite a nasty incident, Lewis Gilbert is still in one piece. The kart isn't, but Lewis Gilbert at least is, and that's the main thing. So it could be a very exciting final, especially with a few of the top drivers trying to charge their way through. And getting the drivers walking in. Now, yes, Lewis Gilbert does look as though he's had some attention to that wrist. That could be a problem, potentially for the race later today, and maybe even for tomorrow. Well, we'll see what happens. Well, if the worst comes to the worst, there's always a spot in the commentary box for Lewis. I don't know how good he is at comms, but it's not quite what he wanted. So a difficult start to the race weekend, that's for sure. And hopefully a continuation of the race will be coming back for Lewis Gilbert a little bit later. But we'll see what happens. We'll see how things go. So Senior X30 is going to take a pause and we'll see what happens after this point, as obviously we're now going to be focusing on the next port of call. And the drivers are now going to be getting themselves ready for the next battle out on track. And we're always going to have some truly spectacular race action from the next category, which of course is IAME Cadet. They're going to come back out on circuit for another close tussle. But it's so fantastic the racing has been in IAME Cadet. It's still ridiculously unpredictable as to who is going to be at the sharp end of the dais. We've already had two very close races where we've seen a very amazing battle in each of them. The earlier heat victory going the way of Sonny Smith. He took the victory earlier on in front of his teammates, Harley Keeble, Brandon Carr and Harry Jr. Burgoyne. And then Kian Nakamura, Berta and Vinnie Phillips rounding out in the top 6. The second race went the way of Vinnie Phillips from Harley Keeble, Brandon Carr and Sonny Smith, with the privateer Macaulay Bishop putting on a brilliant show. And he is coming out again for a second heat this time, as is Kian Nakamura, Berta and Aidan Neat, the two Fusion Motorsport drivers from the front row of the grid. It's going to be interesting to see what they can do as they battle away. The green flag flies on the top of the gantry, and we are ready to rock and roll for the last time before the repechage in IAME Cadet here at the first round of the IAME Cadet season for the 2019 Motorsport UK British Championships. It's Kian Nakamura, Berta and Aidan Neat on the front row of the grid from Maximus Hall and Leo Robinson. Ella Stevens and Archie Clark are on row 3 from Finn McLaughlin and Ethan Jeff Hall, then Harry Jr. Burgoyne and the privateer Macaulay Bishop. Nathan Ty is alongside Lewis Bird. Then it is Cahill Clark and Zach Knight from Joe Katsantonis and the boxer Kai Bacchini. The Canadian Hadi Mamasi with his teammate Kian Geraghty. Sky Parker is next up beside Fraser Anderson. And then it's George Edgar, Newman Chi, Jack Mowat and Ben Smith. So as the drivers get themselves dialed in and ready for more close racing, IAME Cadet will conclude for the moment after this race. And then we will obviously turn our focus to the repechage for the drivers that have not quite made it to the final. The first few across the line, of course, gaining a place on the grid for that first final. But if they don't manage it today, not to fret, because there is another full day of intense competition tomorrow. And obviously a lot of the drivers will be learning from this first race. So the drivers are now into their tram lines. Nakamura, Berta and Neat on the front row of the grid. A lot of attention will be focusing on the Gladiator. Maximus Hall in third position on that inside line of the second row. Leo Robinson and two very impressive drivers making good progress on the third row. Ella Stevens to the inside line. Archie Clark to the outside. Both drivers making massive progress this weekend. We'll see them in the tram lines. Hopefully we're going to get a clean start. Is it going to be a good one? It is! Away we go and rockin' racing, and it's a great start from Maximus Hall. He's going to go with Kian Nakamura Berta into the first couple of corners. We've got 2 or 3 of them spitting off over the grass, but Maximus Hall has got into second position as they go through that first hairpin, and it's a cracking start for the pole sitter, Kian Nakamura Berta, with Maximus Hall, and I think that's Ella Stevens through into third position, is it? No, that is Aidan Neat. So Aidan Neat in third place. Then it's Finn McLaughlin, and that's a fast-charging Harry Jr. Burgoyne up at a fourth position. Good start from Harry Jr. Burgoyne up into P4. What a start from the Scotsman. He's been absolutely on it from the start of the race. And as they come through, it is going to be Nakamura Berta from Hall, then Neat, Harry Jr. Burgoyne, Finn McLaughlin, and Nathan Ty Jr. in front of his former opponent in Birrelart Cadets, Ella Stevens. They've charged through together. So a really good battle as they go through for the far side of the circuit, through the Mike Wilson complex, and kicking out through the left on the charge, down through the chicane. Left, right, and back onto the main straight once again as Maximus Hall pursues Kian Nakamura Berta. They go down the straight and in through the first chicane, up on the curbs, right, underneath the Litchfield Bridge, and in through the long sweeping left-hand hairpin. Nakamura Berta holds on to the charge. Maximus Hall goes very wide, and Aidan Neat is going to get through on the inside. Neat gets into P2. Good start from him as he now progresses onto the tail of his Japanese teammate. Fourth place, Harry Jr. Burgoyne, then McLaughlin, Ty, Stevens, Bishop, Clark, Robinson, Clark, Jeff Hall, Bacchini, and Lewis Bird. A really tall order as Cahill Clark is now currently in a battle with Ella Stevens and Nathan Ty. Cahill Clark, the PMR driver, is in the middle of that little tussle. And here comes Macaulay Bishop again. Look, he's at the P6, charging after Finn McLaughlin. Brilliant stuff as Maximus Hall is now swarming all over the back of Nakamura Berta and Maximus Hall as they jockey for position again through down to the Mike Wilson complex, and catching them all is the Scotsman Harry Junior Burgoyne, 4th position. He's gaining massive ground. It's going to be all 4 of them on the main straight. Finn McLaughlin is being caught rapidly by Macaulay Bishop. We know how strong McLaughlin is, but Bishop has found another level. He's so strong in a straight line. The kart is going beautifully, and he's got good grip up the inside. Bishop threw in a P5 on McLaughlin. Great driving. And has there been, I'm just trying to figure out, has there been a change of leader between the two fusions? No, not quite. Aidan Neate is still there in 2nd position, but he's got a good run off the turn, and I think he's either going to assist his teammate or make the lunge. The former is what he chooses to do. But Maximus Hall and Harry Junior Burgoyne are right there. Macaulay Bishop charging up to 5th place with Finn McLaughlin. Then Ellis Stevens, Carol Clark. Then it's the 46 of Nathan Tye ahead of Leo Robinson. And Archie Clark makes a bold dive up the inside and makes the place on Ethan Jeff Hall. Cuts back across. Nicely defended. And here comes the boxer. Kai Bacchini's in for the mix with Lewis Bird. Great racing in the midfield, as much as there is at the front. And further back, we've got a nice move coming off. That's Fraser Anderson on Ben Smith. Good overtaking the S's there from Fraser. He's really starting to make the progress now. It's all you can do at IAME Cadet is keep improving and keep making the big leaps. The Nakamura Berta leading Aidan Neate. They're trying to get well away from Harry Junior Burgoyne, who's now in 3rd. Maximus Hall down into 4th position. Not sure what happened, but now he's mincemeat for Macaulay Bishop, who charges up the inside. Bishop goes through. Nice bit of driving there again from Bishop, but Maximus Hall gets him back again on the exit. Well defended from the Gladiator. Gets 4th position back. See, Macaulay Bishop has made his way through several drivers that might have been a little bit straightforward. Now he's got the tough nuts to crack in Maximus Hall, and further up the road, he's going to have the top 3 to look at. But Nakamura Berta and Aidan Neate challenging away for the victory up front. 3rd is Harry Junior Burgoyne. Maximus Hall is still 4th in front of Macaulay Bishop and Finn McLaughlin. Then Ellis Stevens, Carol Clark, and Nathan Tye right on the back of Leo Robinson. Then it's Archie Clark in front of Ethan Jeff Hall and Lewis Bird. Kai Bacchini, and that's the 36 of Zach Knight, the older of the 2 Knight Rider brothers. So through they come. Yeah, they are through to the final chicane, through the left and the right. Nakamura Berta still hanging on to the lead of the race. And up to 4th position has come Macaulay Bishop. He's made the move on Maximus Hall. So Macaulay Bishop is now back through into 4th position. And from Maximus Hall's point of view, has the nerve and audacity to ask him for help now he's got through. So that's going to be a bit of an interesting one. So they continue to challenge forward. A really exciting battle from the drivers as they continue their run down the back straight. But Aidan Neate all over the back. Oh no, Aidan Neate is all over the front now. Sorry, he's got past Kier Nakamura Berta. They've swapped places. So Aidan Neate is in the lead as the clouds come over the far side of the circuit. And that's going to cool down the track a little bit. Air temperature is in the teens. So obviously a little bit of cloud cover can actually help for a couple of laps. You wouldn't think it makes a massive difference, but it really does. So Aidan Neate out in front of Kier Nakamura Berta. 3rd position is Harry Junior Burgoyne in front of Macaulay Bishop, who runs a bit deep on the chicane, manages to tidy it up, though, on the exit before Maximus Hall takes the place away. Further back, we've got George Edgar making a move. That's him on the inside of Fraser Anderson as he duels away with Ben Smith and Jack Moat. Always important to remember that the guys travelling at the back of the grid, fair enough, they're there now, but 12 months from now, they're the ones who are going to be fighting for the victories. You've got to learn on the job in karting. It's not easy, especially if you're delving into the national championships for the first time. And all it takes is experience, progress, development, patience, all these things that come to making a good racing driver. You have to learn by doing. It's all about progression. It wasn't too long ago before the drivers who are currently at the front of this field were at the back themselves. So you've got to learn by doing. Aidan Neate in front of Kier Nakamura Berta. The 4th place battle is chocking on again as Maximus Hall is back into that 4th position past Macaulay Bishop. Finn McLaughlin, Ellis Stevens and Cahill Clark join the freight train as Bishop goes up the inside. Stevens takes the opportunity to get past Finn McLaughlin, and there's enough of a gap for Cahill Clark to get through on the inside line for 6th position as well. And he's there. Sorry, for 7th place, I should say. So Cahill Clark is through. Bishop makes the move into 4th position on Maximus Hall further up the road. Has there been a change at 2nd? Yes, Harry Junior Burgoyne is up to 2nd place. The Scotsman has broken through to P2, but Aidan Neate is still your race leader in front of Harry Junior Burgoyne. And then it is the 3rd place man, Kier Nakamura Berta. Fourth place, Macaulay Bishop. Fifth is Maximus Hall. And then it's Ella Stevens from Cahill Clark, Finn McLaughlin. They continue to charge their way through. A really intense battle. And still, they are working their magic in the mid-pack. Aidan Neat leads Harry Junior Burgoyne. Junior Burgoyne's got a good run. Oh, mistake from Nakamura Berta and also from Maximus Hall. That's left Bishop away and clear in fourth place. As up the inside, Ella Stevens tries to make a go at Maximus Hall. But from a long way back, that's Nathan Tye diving up the inside of Finn McLaughlin. Good move from Nathan Tye as he gets his move now. Cahill Clark is going to assist Ella Stevens through past Maximus Hall. Hall is going to get tucked in. And Ella Stevens is up into P5 as Junior Burgoyne makes the lead. Harry Junior Burgoyne takes the lead up front from Nita Nakamura Berta. Then it's Bishop, Stevens and Cahill Clark. Now Cahill Clark is going to try and make the move on the inside of Ella Stevens. And he's done it. Great move there from Cahill Clark to move into P5. So really good stuff as they make their way onto the main straight once more. And it's Harry Junior Burgoyne who leads it now with the last lap boards out. Aidan Neat in second. Third is Nakamura Berta. Then it's Bishop, Cahill Clark. And then it's Ella Stevens in front of Leah Robinson and Nathan Tye. Then McLaughlin, Maximus Hall, Archie Clark, Zach Knight, Jeff Hall, Lewis Bird, Kai Bacchini, Hattie Mamassi. Then Gerrit E. Parker, Katzentonis, Chi, Smith, Anderson, Edgar and Moat. And down to third now is Harry Junior Burgoyne. Over the bridge, Neat has got through into the lead. Nakamura Bird has got through into second. Harry Junior Burgoyne's desperately trying to get back into the action. And here comes Macaulay Bishop. Fifth place now is Leo Robinson. He's worked his magic to get past Nathan Tye. Nathan Tye is up to sixth position. Where did he come from? There goes Bishop on Harry Junior Burgoyne. Bishop's into third position. Cracking on. Absolutely brilliant stuff. And now Nathan Tye is trying to find a way on Leo Robinson for fifth position. The duel is absolutely magic in the mid-pack. And Nathan Tye is going to outfox Robinson. Beautiful manoeuvre from Nathan Tye to P5. He's going to nail that one. A top 5 finish in the British Championships. Really good work as they continue to tussle away. But the checkered flag is going to fly for Aidan Neat. What a victory. What a race. And he's ready for the final now. Aidan Neat wins it. Second place for Macaulay Bishop. What a race drive through to second place for Macaulay Bishop. 8 places made up. Coming into the weekend, not many people will know who he was. They all know now. Macaulay Bishop, the privateer, has come through to second place. Third for Harry Junior Burgoyne. Kian Nakamura Berta is fourth from Nathan Tye. A brilliant drive from Nathan. Leo Robinson in sixth place from Finn McLaughlin, Max Hall, and great efforts from Cahill Clark and Ella Stevens, both firmly in the top 10. Archie Clark is 11th from Zach Knight and Kai Bacchini from Ethan Jeff Hall and Lewis Bird, Hattie Mamassi and Kieran Gerrity, Sky Parker, Joe Katzentonis, Newman Chi, Ben Smith, George Edgar, Fraser Anderson, and Jack Mowat. Some amazing performances in that race. Aidan Neat just looked different class in the closing stages. Really got himself into a good position on the final lap and drove away. But I tell you what, that's an amazing run from several drivers in that top 10. Macaulay Bishop doing a fantastic job to get to second. Another standout effort, though, from the likes of Nathan Tye and Cahill Clark. He did a great job in that top 10 to fight his way forward. Made some good progress there in the mix. So there's some really good battles to come in the IAME Cadet Final a little later on. That is for sure. Some of those drivers will not have made it there yet. They will come into the repechage a little bit later on. A handful of drivers who get through across the line first will join the other drivers in that final. But, of course, there is one more race to go before we take our short pause, and that is going to be the second and final heat for Mini X30. We've already had a pretty cracking race from earlier on, and that saw Alfie Rigby for the KR Sport Team bag a fantastic victory earlier on. He really showed some great strength of character in front of Oliver Greenall and Jessica Edgar, two other drivers who could take the victory away from him later. Luke Watts, Ed Pearson, and Theo McCouris in that top 6. From Olivia Algieri, Bart Harrison, Evan Brown, and Gabriel Stilp. Lots of drivers with an opportunity to move forward. But that second heat is now in progress. It's going to be the next race that comes out on circuit. And in Mini X30, we still have a ultra-competitive field of drivers who want to move and make progress up through the ranks and are going to try their best to do so. So it's always going to be very tight and very tough at the front end of the field. They're all going to want to charge forward. But the tall orders and the battles through the rest of the field is always going to be particularly exciting as the drivers are ready for the fast action. They all want to be at the sharp end of the field. So the drivers are obviously ready for a bit of a scrap now in Mini X30. We saw lots of great overtaking moves from them earlier. And now we're going to get to see them a little bit later on again as they charge forward to the first corner. And there's so many drivers in this field who have a genuine chance at cracking the sharp end of the field. So they're all going to want a decent run of it, and they're all going to have to work very hard indeed to charge forward to that first corner. For those who are enjoying the action, there is still plenty of racing over the course of the weekend, but also plenty over the course of the season as well. And you can check out all of the details on the Championships website, which of course is going to be updated all the way through the course of the year. BritishKartChampionships.org is the website, and you can check out the calendar, the live results from each of the individual events, including from a fortnight ago when we had our Rotax season opener. And you'll obviously be able to get all the details about what happens in 2 weeks' time when we're back here again for the season opener for the TKM and Honda categories as well. And that'll be a really exciting weekend again. So all of the top categories in British karting represented in the Motorsport UK British Kart Championships. This weekend is the IAME season opener. And we're obviously going to see some very tough battles again from the Junior X30 battle, we are told. I think that's actually a mistake. I think that's not meant to be the Junior X30 battle. I think that's actually meant to be the Mini X30 race. So that is going to be changed, ready in time for the next heat, which should be out on track very shortly. And, of course, the Mini X30 race is going to be a very exciting tussle between all of the drivers as they prepare for the action. But, obviously, we will see the Mini X30 drivers prepare for the action for heat number 2. And as the drivers are prepared for the action, it's going to be a really exciting battle for them. And it's a close target that we're going to see with these drivers, as we will see a very competitive grid. It's the same starting grid as before, essentially. So Oliver Greenall and Alfie Rigby will be on the front row of the grid. And they are ready to go out on circuit now. So the championship will continue on for Mini X30. The green flag flies at the top of the gantry, and the drivers are sent out on circuit. And we are ready for the action. From the front row of the grid, it's going to be Oliver Greenall for Fusion versus Alfie Rigby for KR Sport. Luke Watts and Edward Pearson making it 4 different teams in the top 4 places. Theo Makuris makes it 5 for Croc Promotion. Alongside him is Jessica Edgar. Olivia Algieri and Marcus Luzio come next from Ian Aguilera and Dan Bolton. Bart Harrison and Evan Brown, Aidan Lyne and Alexander Renner, then Gabriel Stilp, Antonis Sofronio, JJ Russell and Ashton Parsons. So the drivers get the karts up to temperature again, brakes and tyres. Circuit is looking quite warm out there now, but it's not actually as warm as it appears. 13 degrees air temperature, although the sun makes it feel a lot warmer than that. The commentary box certainly makes it feel warmer than that. It's about 24,000 degrees Celsius in my commentary box at the moment. I've actually had to take my jacket off for the first time all weekend. But I know for a fact that it's not the case out there, having stood on the circuit all day yesterday with the marshals in the freezing cold conditions. I know for a fact just how much they're putting up with, so full credit to all of the marshals around the circuit doing an amazing job. So, the drivers in the Mini X30 Brigade are back into the 2 rows once again. Greenall, Rigby, Watts, Pearson, Makuris, Edgar, Algieri, Luzio, Aguilera and Bolton. This is going to be a clean start. No, it's not. So they're going to go around again. That's only the second false start we've had all weekend. And, for a couple of them, I think they were quite eager to get away. So I think that was Evan Brown, going over the chicane. Not sure for definite. But certainly we had one of them traverse over the chicane on that far side of the circuit under the Litchfield Bridge. So they're now going to have to form up to position once again. I hope they're all aware of the fact that we're not racing. Because we're not racing. A few of them seem to think we are. But it is a false start. But as soon as they reach Martin Bean, who's there on the circuit, they will see, we're not racing. We are actually on a false start conditions. So now they realise. For a moment there, I think they all felt that the race had got started. And I'm not sure they'd actually seen that the yellow light had come on. So a bit of a moment there. But fortunately, nothing is going to be too chaotic from that one, and everybody is going to survive with their dignity and reputations, and more importantly, an undamaged kart intact. So the field lines up again. Greenall, Rigby, Watts, Pearson, McCurris, Edgar, Algieri, Lucio, Aguilera and Bolton as they come round the final turn. They're in their formations. They're in their tram lines. Let's get a clean start this time, guys. Yes, that's better. Away we go. Breaking through to the middle of the section already. Up through the first corner. The run wide is going to be a nice one for the first two through. Greenall and Watts have gone through to first and second. I think McCurris has tried to get through into third position. Round the outside, Rigby's only lost one place down to third position. But Pearson and McCurris have held their positions. Edgar's lost out to Olivier Algieri for the first part. But they go down the back straight. And it's a cracking start from Oliver Greenall with Watts in second place. A couple of drivers trying to charge their way through. That's one of the Dan Holland racing carts. That's got to be Lucio. It is indeed. So Lucio has charged his way through. The fast start. Oh, and a spin. Come together. Alexander Renner made a bold move on the inside of Aidan Line. And unfortunately, Line was collected by JJ Russell. Line is very annoyed. And I don't think he's directing that at JJ Russell. I think he's going to try to direct that at whoever he felt was at fault with it. Somebody may want to have a look at that one again. But the first lap is going to be completed. And it's going to be the fusion of Oliver Greenall, reigning Winter Series champion, who won all 4 finals over the last 4 months, has taken the lead in Mini X30 from Luke Watts. Here goes Rigby. Rigby has a look on the inside for second place, and that's put Rigby a little bit, that's put Watts a little bit wide. Rigby does get through, completes the move over the Litchfield Bridge. Now he's gone for the lead immediately on Oliver Greenall, and Greenall gets squeezed out wide. Watts is going to go through. Pearson's going to go through. McCurris and Algieri are going to get on the inside of Greenall as well. Algieri dives up the inside of both McCurris and Greenall and gets into 4th position. Great move from Olivier Algieri up into 4th place. Really good racing as Lucio tries to get on the inside of Ian Aguilera. Further back, Jessica Edgar has fallen behind both of them. That one move from Rigby has caused a chain reaction all the way down the field as lots of drivers have taken that opportunity to go for a brave move, and it's absolutely shuffled the deck. It's like throwing the deck of cards in the air and picking them up blindfolded as they come through the final chicane. It is going to be Rigby who leads from Watts. A really good battle coming on now. Pearson in 3rd position trying to go for a move. Olivier Algieri has made the move on McCurris and Greenall. Then it's Edgar behind Aguilera and Lucio. From Brown, Bolton, Sofronio, Renner, Harrison, Stilt, Line, Russell and Parsons. They come off the bridge. Rigby still leading to Watts and Pearson. But Pearson is not going to get the move on Watts before Watts has a look on the inside of Rigby. Rigby tries to shut the door, and they're going to run wide. Pearson's going to come alongside. 3 wide down to the breakings over the second hairpin. Rigby resists. He's going to get a little nudge from Watts, but he's not going to get intimidated by that, and he holds on to the lead. Watts in second, Pearson third, but here comes McCurris trying to come through, and he has to hang back just as Greenall is trying to come through, having already got past Olivier Algieri. Oh, this is magic racing in Mini X30. It's all starting to kick off, and now we're going to get some really good race battles through to the final chicane. Luke Watts has got a good charge on the final turn. Rigby going very wide as he comes out of the final corner. But Watts is trying to work with Rigby to get away. Pearson third from McCurris, Greenall, Algieri, Edgar, Lucio, Aguilera and Brown. Around the hairpin, up the hill towards the bridge flyover, over the first part, into the second right, and down the back straight. Here's the move. That's Jessica Edgar, going to get on the inside of one of the croc carts. That's got to be Algieri, and getting some assistance from Lucio to carry the speed past Pearson. So Edgar through to 5th place, Lucio through to 6th in front of Pearson. Pearson retaliates up the inside of Lucio and gets the position back. Good racing from Pearson. Not easy when you've basically been given 2 places not back to get back on the horse, but he has done and gone straight past Lucio. So a very strong battle at the sharp end of the field continues. As we've got Alfie Rigby battling away with Luke Watts. 3rd position is still Oliver Greenall, having fought his way back into position at the beginning of the lap. He's got Theo McCurris with him, and then Jessica Edgar in 5th position. Edgar so fast in Mini X30. Under the Litchfield Bridge. Is this going to be a move from Edgar? No, she's going to work with Greenall and McCurris, and there's a warning flag that's gone out for Antonis Sofronio, apparently. Not sure what that manoeuvre was meant to be for. As a big, bold move up the inside of Algieri from Ian Aguilera. I'm not sure that worked out. So they're going to go down the back straight. As there's a big, tall order down to the braking zone, further back into the pack. And that's Aguilera on the inside of Algieri. Algieri gets back on the inside. Meanwhile, 3 wide for third position. Oliver Greenall gets past Edgar and Makuris to hold on to the place. As there's a big tussle further back. Antonio Sofronio running with Bart Harrison and Alexander Renner as they tussle with Evan Brown. Terrific racing. Absolutely wheel-to-wheel stuff all the way through as Rigby hangs on in front of Luke Watts. Oliver Greenall is trying to go with Jessica Edgar together to try and get after the leaders. 2 minutes 40 on the clock as they come through this time by under the Litchfield Bridge, diving for the inside line. Hoping for a manoeuvre, but not quite able to get there. So over the Litchfield Bridge and tucking into the right-hander. Down the back straight. And here's the chance. Watts has got a run on Rigby, but he's not going to use it as Edgar makes the move on teammate Oliver Greenall. Jessica Edgar through to third position. 5th place for the 74 of Theo Makuris. 6th place for Ed Pearson. Then in 7th place, it's Lucio ahead of Algieri and Aguilera. So they go through the chicane together. 10th place is Harrison now in front of Sofronio, Bolton and Evan Brown. Then it is Alexander Renner from Stilp, Line, Parsons and JJ Russell. Off the Mike Wilson complex once again. These two out front are being caught rapidly, not just by Greenall and Edgar, but Makuris and Pearson are hanging on to the train for dear life in the hope that their first-class ticket's still valid as they go under the Litchfield Bridge. Charging through, this is going to be a 6-way freight train. Up through the hairpin, Rigby's hanging on by a thread to Watts, but now Edgar and Greenall are part of the fight. Edgar in third, Greenall fourth, and it's a 4-way fight. Makuris and Pearson are not far away either. Here goes Edgar. She's not waiting around on the inside of Watts. The door's still open. Greenall can get through as well, and he does. So Watts down to fourth. Edgar is not waiting around here. She wants to get through. So Rigby is the lead. Oh, looks like a problem for the 41 of Pearson. He got a little bit crossed up and chops right across on the 88 of Marcus Lucio, and then the 38 of Olivia Algieri as well. I think Pearson had a bit of a moment there trying to hold on to his position. But Rigby still hanging on in front of Edgar and Greenall. He runs very deep off the curbs, back onto the main straight. And it's going to be a tough one with 2 laps to go. Rigby's going to try and hang on in front of Edgar and Greenall. Here they go. Edgar and Greenall run right in behind Rigby. Is this going to be the move? Oh, Rigby's defending beautifully to the inside line for Edgar, who tries to run right round the outside and just about squeezes into the position there. But Greenall is still there, tussling for position. Wait, that's Edgar down to 5th. My apologies. It's Greenall who's come through to 2nd. Watts is 3rd. Makuris 4th. Edgar down to 5th. And then it's Pearson and Lucio still snapping at each other's heels. Edgar got run very wide. Edgar's trying to come around the long way to cut back on Makuris. And that's going to work beautifully for Jess Edgar. Back in a 4th position. Makuris is not going to give him... Makuris is not going to give himself a lot of space to negotiate. But Edgar has to bail out. So Jessica Edgar does, in fact, bail out in 5th position. And as they roll off the hairpin, it's going to be tight between Rigby and Greenall. Watts is 3rd. 4th is Makuris. 5th place still Jessica Edgar. Now Pearson and Lucio are a lot closer. 8th and 9th are in the battle now as well. Aguilera and Algieri. Algieri in front of Aguilera once more. But here we go. Last lap, and there's 9 of the minute. Here we go. Battling for position. They're squabbling around all over the place as Rigby's desperately trying to hang on to the position. Now Greenall still all over the climbing back as they come through. Off the turn. Rigby goes a little bit deep into turn 5. Down the back straight. Greenall still trying to break the toe. Up the inside of Edgar goes Makuris. Jessica Edgar trying to hold it around the outside. Ed Pearson to her right side. She gets that move sorted. Now trying to go around the outside of Makuris. And Lucio's trying to get his foot in there and gets them all nearly. Pearson, Makuris and Edgar are going to get the place back. Greenall's doing everything he can to get past Rigby, but Rigby has yet again proven to be the perfect battering ram. He's held onto the position, and now Watts is in 3rd place trying to come through on Oliver Greenall, but Rigby's going to have the magic to keep it together through the left, through the right in the final chicane. Greenall's trying one final charge over the line, but Rigby's going to have it. Brilliant. Really good racing from Rigby in front of Greenall, Watts and Pearson. Makuris is 5th from Lucio, Jessica Edgar, Olivia Algieri and Ian Aguilera. And that's how close it was. 2 seconds between them all. But Harrison in 10th place from Antonio Sofronio and Dan Bolton. Aidan Line is 13th from Evan Brown and Gabriel Stilp. Alexander Renner and Ashton Parsons, with a race retirement for JJ Russell with mechanical problems, unfortunately. But what a battle it's going to be in the Mini X30 final later. Alfie Rigby's on fine form. Greenall's still solid and consistent. But Luke Watts, Ed Pearson, Thea Mercouris, Marcus Luzio, Jess Edgar, all contenders. So it's going to be a really intense fight. It's a nice moment to pause proceedings. We'll come back in time for the repêchages at 3 o'clock. But what a great race day we are having at PF International here for the Motorsport UK British Kart Championship season opener in the IAME classes. Plenty more racing on the way.
Hi, I'm Tom Ingham and you're listening to Downforce Radio.
Hi, I'm Jake Villeneuve. You're listening to Downforce Radio.
Hi, I'm Bruno Senna. You're listening to Downforce Radio.
Hi, I'm Chris Hoy, and you're listening to Downforce Radio.
Hi, I'm Landon Norris, and you're listening to Downforce Radio.